very sad that this type of situation had to happen. I definitely feel for the family, and it seems like the Chicago department, the police department, and the city, they're covering for each other. They're covering for each other's tail. They're trying to prolong this as much as possible. So we definitely this is a story that we all need to keep our eye on to and see if we can try to put a little bit of pressure on the Chicago PD and the city of Chicago as well. DJ, go ahead.
Yeah, that Ray Social was really just hauling ass to get his licks in. That's what we call it over here in the Northeast. He was running to go get put his boot to a nigga. You feel what I'm saying? Thought he was gonna get some extra shots in or whatever, or bust his gun and say it was all in self-defense in the name of the law. That's all that was. You know what I mean?
How does that have to feel, man? That you're an 84-year-old black woman, you done came up through the civil rights and Jim Crow, and you done seen all kind of things in your lifetime, man, and you get to live to be that age, that ripe old age, and and you die because the people that your taxes are going to, that's supposed to be out here protecting and serving, have little regard for anybody's life, and because of this, you're dead because of their just total neglect and failure to abide by commands and abide by orders that they're given. I mean, these are the same people that you're out there, they want you to abide by what they're saying, but here they're given pretty much, and I know they're not in the army, but they're given pretty much an order. Well, hey, this is what happened. You can go ahead and do this. You can go ahead and do that. Yet they still went ahead and just did their own thing, and because they did it, like I said, this family is without a grandmother, a mother, a aunt, a sister. I mean, you got people in the church. I mean, she's a church going lady, and it's just a sad situation there, man. It's just very sad. It's very disheartening. It's just very upsetting and troubling to hear. And like I say, Chicago PD is one of the most crooked PD law enforcement agencies in this country. So I want to see how they're going to sweep this and how they're going to try to hide this and cover this one up here. They owe some millions here, man, on the very least, and somebody need to lose their damn job behind this too. Go ahead, DJ.
Well, hopefully we could get is a conviction. You know what I mean? That's the first real get him. Somebody need to go to jail. Then after we get somebody in jail, then we can talk about the compensation. You feel what I'm saying? Same thing with this reparations. A whole lot of folks need to go to jail. You feel what I'm saying? I don't even care if that was your ancestors that did that. You're gonna have to go to jail for them, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel in that note, and we all should feel like that. Don't hurt my own strength because you being incompetent. That's all it really is, bro. And like I said, it's really just like you said. Other officers already subdued the suspect. So what was the argument you racing to the field for? And hey, you was trying to go get your licks in, bro, but you caused the accident on your own, of course. So why ain't you at least doing at least 10 years for that? All right, we understand you was a cop and it was an accident, but come on, man, that's negligence. Let's be logical, because if the shoe was on the other foot and it was the grandmother that killed the cop, they would have tried to send her up the river, especially being a black woman. Come on now.
Here's my thing too, though, man. You know they're gonna try. It's gonna be hard for these cops because when they just blatantly just stand up there and just take somebody's life and just blow their brains out, or George Floyd them, choke them to death, or whatever, they find a way to go ahead and gloss over that. So here's my thing: you're gonna know the first thing you're gonna say. Well, it was accidental. It was We also had officers that got injured in this crash as well. We definitely didn't try to do this and that. So I wonder how much real time could these officers actually get? Like, this is something that I really want to know. Like, in terms of a manslaughter or a vehicle, I want to know, like, what kind of negligence. What something needs to be done. I mean, they haven't even been terminated. Go ahead, DJ.
Again, at the end of the day, we need to get our peoples either into one or two positions. One, we need to have our own, take over these states, like Black majority state be saying, have our own Black state of America. So that way we can put our people on the judicial bench in the prosecutor's seat. You see what I'm saying? To start giving up getting these convictions, bro. From the same people, people we pay our taxes for to protect us. It's really that simple. You know what I mean? So if you plan on moving within the next year or two, hey, go pull up on Marcel District. You know what I'm saying? Go pull up into Mara Shirley District. Real talk. It's the only way this stuff gonna stop, yo. Yeah, I yield. I yield.
That's definitely real talk, man. Like I said, this is a very upsetting issue. Does anybody I want to see anybody in the chat from Chicago because it'd be interesting to hear somebody's opinion that may be from that area. And like I said, I wonder how often something like this happens where you have police that cause major accidents and stuff and pursuit of people because that was one thing I thought years ago that police was actually that was a law that they was changing that they weren't supposed to be in high pursuit like doing and you know in the city limits and stuff like that like they used to be. So I thought that was something that they was actually changing or maybe that's just something that's statewide or something like that. Go ahead, DJ.
Yeah, it could be per state. So I know over here in Jersey, because this is stolen car capital of the world, so they can't get chased for the exact same reason his grandmother lost her life. Innocent people or bystanders are getting killed because the police are chasing car thieves or whatever the case be, or chasing criminals, or just going at a higher rate of speed because they want to get home faster, so they got their siren lights on. The EMT guys do it too. The fire truck guys do it too. And you got regular people that like do security nowadays, but they might have actual emergency lights on that vehicle. So they be doing it too. You thinking it's an emergency vehicle like the police or ambulance or some fire truck. You pulling over, or, you know, these jokers just speeding down the parkway. And you can't say anything because you don't know. You just want to pull over because it's a siren. But at the end of the day, these jokers all do the same thing. But like you said, because of their position and the people they know, and we playing a race-based game, it's going to be maybe a forever and a day for this family to get their justice. It's really that simple. And I yield on this note. This is the argument why we saying now that police, when they come onto the force, they need to have their own insurance. So that way, in case you do something, we're just showing your insurance anyway, and we still going to seek civil, not just civil damages, but we're still going to seek a civil case against you in a court of law to have you arrested and charged. And if not, even if you do no time or whatever, at least you'll catch the charge or something. You know what I'm saying? We want this on record saying that you committed this crime. And so that way, when you do go get a job or whatever, that's on you, though. You know what I mean? So hopefully you'll never get a job anywhere, at least not in law enforcement anywhere. But they hire their own. So it's like, what are you supposed to do about that? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to go on to the next story. If anybody wants to chime in here, if anybody has a statement or anything they'd like to add on, anything, please feel free to go ahead and chime on. Say something. You can also come back to the story. If you don't have something to say about it right now, even though we're going to go on to the next story, you can always come back and still reference this story. That's one thing about these the spacer that if it's a story that's been read or we're talking about and we move on to another story, you can always come back and still strike up a conversation on this story here. So that said, if anybody wants to say something, if not, I'll go ahead and read the next story, which is pretty doggone ridiculous to say the least, man. I was like, when I saw this story today, I was like, damn, what's going on here? It says RuPaul speaks on proposed bill to ban children from drag shows. Take away them guns that will help your kids. So you got RuPaul, the famous drag queen, and he's talking about gun control. So let's just check this out. This article was published by the Black Enterprise, curated by Newstoter.com. If you guys have not been to Newstoter.com, make sure you go ahead and visit Newstoter.com. Newstoter.com is the ultimate curator of Black news in America, the largest Black content curation platform in America. And let's check out what's going on here. It says Republican lawmakers in Florida, Arizona, and Texas, among others, are attempting to prohibit children from attending drag shows, a community with a long legacy of child-friendly events celebrating self-expression and creativity. So you already see the way this article here is kind of slanted here. So in a recent appearance on the Late Late Show with James Corden, Emmy Award winner RuPaul had to tell legislatures about themselves concerning their proposed drag ban in the wake of horrifying mass shootings that have torn the nation apart around the gun reform debate. This is a diversion tactic to take the narrative away from the gun debate into something to scare people into thinking about something else that they've been successful, said the entertainment personality. They have changed the narrative away from the gun debate into this drag queen thing. It's like y'all want to help your kids, take away them guns. That'll help your kids. Drag queens ain't hurting nobody. He continued by quoting one of his famous lines, "You know, you were born naked and the rest in drag. Everybody's in drag, okay?" On June 6th, just 2 weeks after the Texas school shooting, Texas Representative Brian Slayton took to Twitter to announce his proposal after a video of the Drag the Kids to Pride drag show went viral and somehow landed on his feed. "Drag shows are no place for a child," read the representative's tweet alongside a formal statement of the proposed legislation. "I would never take my children to a drag show, and I know none of my Republican colleagues wouldn't either. I will be filing legislation to address this issue." More and more hate crimes have plagued the LGBT community following Slayton's announcement amid Pride Month. On June 11th, five members of a far-right supremacy group called Proud Boys attacked a drag queen story hour at the San Lorenzo Public Library in California. The same day, 31 members of a white nationalist group, Patriots Front, were arrested close by to a Pride Month celebration in Idaho in what looked like a planned terror attack resulting in death threats to the police. So you got this Texas representative in Texas talking about coming up with a bill to stop kids from attending drag shows, and you have maybe the most famous drag queen in America, RuPaul, who's been probably the most famous drag queen since the '90s, coming out to defend the kids going to the drag shows and saying that the big problem is guns. Worry about the guns. The guns are the ones that's killing people. Like drag queens and drag shows, they've always been good. The kids, they've always been nice to kids and whatnot. That's the least of your concern. It's the guns that's doing it. Your mom, I see you got your hand up, so go ahead and unmute your mic. And everybody in the space, go ahead and tweet out the space if you can too.
Thanks, Newstoter. And Shalom, family. I just wanted to say real quick, RuPaul is irrelevant, as usual, and he's just trying to get a little last-minute shine. And as far as this taking these kids to these drag shows, the whole country's being groomed right now. And I fault these parents. I don't care what kind of agenda that alphabet crew's got, or I don't know. I don't want to get into that any kind of filthy talk. But we're all being groomed. That's why it's being shoved down our throats on every TV show you turn on, all in the middle of kids' cartoons and everything else. And they try to act like it's just an innocent little, well, we should be included in society. It's bullshit. It's grooming as a setup to legalize pedophilia. I'm landed.
Thank you. We definitely appreciate that. I don't really even understand how this even came into play here. Like, Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic, man.
She might actually does have a point. She got me to thinking about. I remember there was an adult that's saying that he's grown now, 21 plus years old, saying that he identifies as a little girl. So why in the world would a grown man identify as a little girl if he wasn't trying to get with little boys? I mean, I pay attention to little stuff like that. It's really just disgusting. I'm all for kids not being in no damn drag shows. I think everyone that's decent should be feel the same way. A lot of people are really scared to say how they feel because they don't want to offend anybody. But I'm sorry, it just is what it is. You shouldn't have no doggone kids at no doggone drag shows. I mean, it's just getting ridiculous. How far is this going to go? Because from what I remember, when their whole movement just started, it was just, well, I just want to love. I want to love. How do we go from I want to love to kids being a damn drag show?
I agree with you, man. Like I don't even understand how this even came into play here. Like I say, it's funny too, man. Like I believe RuPaul is one of the few black men that like won like Emmy awards and whatnot. Like they love RuPaul. The mainstream America loves putting him on there, and he just it's wild, man. DJ, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my customer OGs a while back, right? And we just conversating about many things we conversate here in these spaces. So, Cory Booker came up and he was like, yeah, that motherfucker related to RuPaul. That's his first cousin and shit. So I said, damn, that's the reason why he was crying at Ketanji Jackson Brown hearing, yo. It makes sense now, man.
So he's related to RuPaul? Wow.
Yeah, they first cousins, man. I know my OG ain't stunting because he a former police officer. He's a former captain here in Newark. He know a lot of people, yo. So I know he ain't stunting, and he protected like a lot of politicians as like former police officer here in Newark. You know what I mean?
Ray, go ahead. You got your hand up.
I was just gonna say, of course, they want to, present RuPaul to cook because honestly, they don't really want us procreating. Like I've said before, I said this before. Anytime you see us on TV, we're either in an interracial relationship or just in a whole bunch of foolishness. They're promoting this because they want it to be the normal. Because if two guys are having sex, they aren't going to produce a child. So at the same time, it's kind of like a soft genocide, kind of, but you're doing it to yourself, and they're hiding on the guys above.
And the crazy thing about it, a few years ago, man, you remember when Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union took the son out there to the pride parade down there in Miami, and you had a lot of people that was upset with that at the time, but then you had a lot of people saying, well, that's cool that he went there, whatnot, that he's expanding his horizons of this and that. And I'm thinking like, look, why bring a kid? And I know people think drag queens are funny and this and that, but why bring a kid to a damn drag show? I mean, when that kid gets older, if that's what that kid wants to do, then fine, that's up to him. But I never even heard about no damn, like, nobody I knew growing up went to no damn drag show. I mean, I've never even heard of that. I didn't even know that kids. I didn't even know that you could be allowed in a drag show. Drag shows always seemed like it was something for grown people, not for like kids. So I didn't even know where this came from. And the fact that, like I said, I see that he brought the gun issue into it, and like I said, that's a whole separate issue of itself. I get what he's saying, as he's trying to say that guns are more of a threat to American safety, public safety than drag queens are. He's saying drag queens hadn't done anything. That when you're born in drag and this and that, and you're naked and the rest of you's in drag and this and that. I totally disagree with that 100%, because drag was always, to me, was always a definition of a man dressing up like a woman, somebody, you almost gender dressing or whatever. So I don't really even understand how he came up with that issue there. But like I say, I have a problem with like kids going to drag shows, man. I have a problem. I would have a problem. To me, this is how I feel. I don't feel a kid should be going to no. I don't feel like they should be going to a pride parade, and I don't feel straight kids should be going to Mardi Gras. I don't believe a 13-year-old kid should be at Mardi Gras, heterosexual or not. That's for grown people. Let the grown people go there. Let the kids stay their ass at home. Your mama, you got your hand up. Your mama, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to think what I forgot what I was getting ready to say.
It happens sometimes. It happens. My point of view is like this. Is like, and I know people try to change. They want to always put it as heterosexual people are picking on these people, this and that. But my thing is, like I said this here, I don't believe you should be taking a heterosexual kid. You should not be taking a straight kid, 13 years old, to Mardi Gras. Certain things are for adults. Certain things are for kids. Let the kids go there when they get grown and they get older and they can decide that's what they want to do. I don't believe that you should be having no, and I definitely don't believe you should be having no kids at no pride parades. That's my personal opinion. It's not bashing anybody's lifestyle, but I just feel that there's a lot of things that go on in those pride parades. Let's be for real here. A lot of stuff that's out there in the open and whatnot. That you got people just up there almost in certain scenes, almost like they're having an orgy and having sex out there. I mean, do kids really need to see that? Your mama, go ahead and unmute your mic if you remember what you got to say now.
Yeah, I remember now. It has to do with this, with these drag shows and just drag in general. All that is a caricature of women, and that's what it's always been. And then part of it too today is this agenda that they've got to disparage women, and that flows into that this there's like a little underground, well, it's not so little because it's worldwide, but there's an underground movement for transhumanism. They want to stop. They want to depopulate the planet, and they want to first start with that by having human beings not reproducing. And as everything else nefarious that they do, they always start with us. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
No problem. Right before I hand it to you, and this is like for all the women who may be in the room or whatever, but it always seemed like the sisters, like black women in particular, like you guys always seem to actually like have an affinity for them. Like you always, maybe like they always was funny to you guys, and you guys always loved them. You always hung out with them, so it always seemed like they try to pick up nuances from being a woman, from just hanging around you guys and whatnot, and try to market that, so to speak. I mean, that's just my personal opinion because like sisters always like they always loved it, like the RuPaul and stuff like that. I mean, I remember growing up and they absolutely loved him. Like oh yeah, he's so this, he's so that, and so it just always seemed like the sisters actually gravitated towards it more than say the fellas or whatever. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic.
I was just gonna say I wanted to take my kids, not just my son, but all my kids to go see this new Buzz Lightyear movie. I think it's called Lightyear, and I'm actually glad that I waited a couple of days because there's been a lot of people saying, hey, there's, same sex, kissing and stuff going on in the damn kids movie. It's like I can't even take my kids to enjoy a movie without them pushing some type of agenda. And honestly, it's honestly gonna take us just stand up and say, you know what, this is enough. This is the line. Do not go across this. Leave our children alone. Like you said, when they get older, when they're 18, if God, I mean, I hate to say it, but God forbid, if one of my kids goes that way, they're grown. They can do what they want. But right now, their minds are very impressionable. I remember, obviously, when I was a kid, I thought I was a Power Ranger at one point. That's how impressionable my mind is. So they understand that if you can get them young, you can pretty much kind of maneuver them any way you want to, which is what we need to be jumping in right now trying to stop.
Yeah, man, and you know the crazy thing about it is, a couple years ago, I'm with you with that. With my kids, they was watching TV and whatnot, and certain programs, certain shows that they was watching, you had to cut out because on some of these cartoons, man, and this never happened growing up. Like on these cartoons, and it's always the male characters. You know they're not gonna do it with a female character, but it's always the male cartoons. They always pulling their pants down, showing their butt, shaking their butt and whatnot. I'm like, man, this ain't no cartoon for no kids. I used to tell my kids, man, you don't turn this crap. They were younger, so they're like, they kids, they don't know like what's the problem. They thought it was funny and this and that. I'm like, come on, man. And then a few years ago, you had the cartoon Arthur that they grew up watching, and the teacher on the Mr. Ratburn or whatever, he was end up he was getting ready to get married, same sex marriage and whatnot. Like they doing it on all of it. Like they did it with Sesame Street. They
They
did
did
it
it
with
with the
all of the
Rugrats.
yeah. They did it with the Rugrats too.
Yeah, they did it with the Rugrats. You remember? I forget her name, but Phil and Lil's mother. She was
Okay,
always
yeah.
she was always kind of butchy in the show anyway. But now I guess they're doing like a reboot. Got rid of her husband, and she became, just all. And little, I can't lie. Even when we were kids, there were little stuff that we thought was fine that our parents probably should have said something. Because if you grew up watching, I forget what this show is, but they had this devil. He had like this big red ass, and he would jump around on and stuff. And even as a kid, I was like, I don't think I should be watching this type of shit. And I turned it off as a kid. I forget what the name of that TV, what the name of that stupid show was, but yeah, I mean, it's been just, I feel like just slowly being introduced, and now they're just like, hey, we done got this law passed. Let's just go all out with it.
Yeah, man, they just going ahead. They pushing it out there. DJ, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, just we all agree to do say the same thing. I sell movies for a living, so I understand 100% what you say, right? So I always got to reiterate to my female women customers or parental customers in general. Hey, look, yeah, I know that's a Batman cartoon, but this particular Batman has nudity, violence, sexual orientation, all that stuff in it. So I got to warn the parents because the kids, they see like the Batman, like, oh yeah, but you can't watch this particular Batman. Go get the Lego one or whatever. Some of these cartoons are adult. Like, it's the same situation when we was growing up. Like, my mother wouldn't let me listen to Eddie Murphy. This is way back when Walkmans came out, and it was on a cassette tape. Yo, let me listen to that. Nope, got popped in the head. Go play with your friends. You know what I'm saying? You ain't listening to this because Eddie Murphy Raw. Like, come on now. You know, ain't no kid need to be hearing that. And now I understood that when I got older and actually turned around and watched the Raw for the first time. Like, oh wow, this shit's wild. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you exposing your kids to being an adult, and that's all this drag queen stuff is. You just exposing these kids to learn how to be sexually oriented, to be an adult, pretty much, erasing their childhood. You know what I mean? Completely out the water. So that's why I always say, let a kid be a kid. Go let your kids go outside and play in the dirt. You know what I mean? It's good for them anyway. That get that natural soil up in them, so they can get them natural enzymes from that dirt and be healthy. You know what I mean? So with that being said, it's the same thing with the what you saying, Tyler, with the cartoons and Ray, how they switching up these old school cartoons and doing the same thing. I'm a big Voltron cartoon fan. They did that with Hunk and Lance and one of the other guys. They turned them gay. Like, oh man, what the hell is this, yo? You know what I mean? And they threw that in there like fifth season of the new remake or whatever. Came out of nowhere. And also, like you said, they only do that with the boys title, but they do it with the girls too, but we just miss it. They turn them into tomboys, aka the studs. See that? Pidge was really a girl in Voltron, even back then, but now she's more like of a tomboy, even more. So it's like, damn, you can't win, man.
They really go hard after these boys. I mean, they figure if you can go ahead and turn the boy, then it's much easier to go ahead and turn the girl. So they really they put all the effort into the boys and stuff like that, man. Like I said, because on these cartoons, bro, you're not gonna see no girl up there with her pants down shaking her butt. That would be considered going too far. But for a boy, they can say, well, boys go around, they pull their pants down, they boon each other. So I know exactly how they trying to come across with this stuff like this. They trying to go ahead and they trying to coax it in there and this and that, and they trying to get you to also by taking these boys and stuff to these drag shows, trying to tell you, well, there's nothing wrong if you want to put on panties, and there's nothing wrong if you want to put on a skirt and put on your slippers and this and that. Get in touch with your feminine side and all this other kind of garbage here, man. I tell my kids, I'm like I say, I had to tell them like, no, you can't watch. I broke it off to them straight up. I'm like, you can't watch this cartoon here, man. It's cartoons where some of them got like the cartoons. I got two daddies and whatnot. I'm like, nah, man. Like, what is this here? Like, I tell them like they just sitting there watching. They're like, nah, turn this off and all of that. They're like, they know that hey, this is a show that dad's not gonna let us watch or whatever. They older now, but they knew like, no, we can't watch this show here. And even like some of the ones like that's supposed to be popular and stuff like that, even like the SpongeBob's and stuff like that, even they be throwing like little hints of like kind of like homoeroticism and all of that stuff into it too. So you gotta kind of watch your kids. Getting back to what you said about the Eddie Murphy thing, your mom, I'm gonna let you get the mic in a second. Getting back to that thing you said about the Eddie Murphy thing, at least with Raw, everybody knew Eddie Murphy had a filthy mouth. Eddie Murphy was an adult stand-up comedian. Back in the day with the Smurfs and all this other stuff that we grew up watching, and Thundercats or whatever in the '90s or whatever, like they weren't strictly coming at kids like that and trying to turn them like that. How they are trying to turn them now. So I can understand, like, yeah, my people weren't gonna let me listen to no Rudy Ray Moore or nothing like that. I mean, that's just how it was. But it's a difference, like, with you. It's a difference having something that's for adults and kids want to see it and listen to it or whatever. You tell them no, and it's a difference than having something that's supposed to be PG and for kids and this and that, and it's just totally something like a whole agenda behind it and whatnot. Your mama, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. There is an agenda, and the agenda is to destroy the family unit, particularly the black family, because we're the ones that are the most of a threat. So if they can get our kids early and get them with their, once again, with that depopulation, they want to get our idea of a family destroyed. They've all but done it physically. So now they're doing it on a psychological level, and they're starting with our kids. So it's very much an agenda, and it's just that they've ramped it up. They've been creeping at it for the past 50 years, but here in the past 10, I'd say, They've really been going strong with it. I'm landing.
You're right. This is an agenda from Hollywood. Hollywood since about 1970 and stuff. As we started coming into more of the modern age and whatnot, Hollywood started pushing this stuff more and more and more and more and more. And it's really between Hollywood and the Democrat Party. As much as I can't stand the Republicans because they have their own nonsense. It's been mainly Democrats in Hollywood that's really been pushing this agenda, trying to get it out there, promote it to the masses and this and that. And if you don't go along with this agenda, whatever, then you're a bigot and you're prejudiced and you're this and you're that. So it's really been those two. It's really been those two entities more than any other group that has really strengthened this agenda right here. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Something else that we need to touch on, I don't think a lot of people talk about. Have y'all noticed there's a lot of teachers that are coming out to their kids, 4 and 5 years old? Why? And you as a teacher, why are you coming out to my child? I send my child to school learn about math, science, things like that. Like why are you even discussing sex with them? Their minds, that's the first thing from their mind at that age.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Ray. I'm gonna let you get it, DJ. I'm glad you mentioned that because that happened at my son's school. Like his teacher came out and told the class about that she was bi. She told him she was bi. I think he said she was bi. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, she told you that? Like his mom told me that. And I'm like, she told you that? She said that to the whole class that she bi? I'm like, she telling these kids that? I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I may need to go out there to the schools. And the mom had to tell me, like, no, no, don't go out there to the school. Like, he's doing a good job at the school and don't go out there. I'm like, well, hold on. She have no business telling this, disclosing this to the kids. Like, I didn't
Yeah,
appreciate that the
this
least
time
bit.
I've
Yeah.
been like, I would have been ready to pull my child out of that classroom. I mean, this, what are you doing? Like seriously, like why are you telling this to a child? That's be my first question. I mean, the worst thing, like you just said, the worst thing they can do is try to put a label on us. Oh, you're homophobic. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that. At some point, I hate to say it, but we gotta go like, fuck it. If it comes to saving our children, it really has to come to that. Because I don't, like I said, I don't want to send my kids to school to learn about any of that stuff. I understand. Okay, I can just say I can understand this. Once they're 17, 18 years old, they're pretty much adults. Then I could understand that. But why a child? Why would you touch? Like I said, we don't teach labor and delivery to kids or nothing like that because they're too young. Like, why would you even want to go there? I don't. I just don't get that. And I would love, if anyone was in this space, with LGBT, because they explain it. Like, why? How do we go from love is love to hey, my teacher is coming out telling us that she's bi, and I have my teacher saying that we got to go all these different pronouns and all this stuff. It's just getting confusion. I'm an adult and I'm confused, so I know the kids are damn sure confused.
No doubt, no doubt. DJ, you go ahead because I wanted to add up what Bray was going to say, so I'll go ahead and let you go ahead.
No, no, no. You go ahead. No, no. I'm piggybacking off of y'all. I'm just gathering my thoughts.
Yeah, man, here in Florida, especially, like, in the county that I'm living in, you have now with these like these schools and stuff are deciding to do things. They're calling these kids by pronouns. They're doing all kind of little sneaky shit behind parents' back and whatnot. So now you have the schools that's up here that's acting like they're the parent. They won't tell the kids like your son comes to school. His name is Bobby, but all of a sudden he wants to identify as a her, as a girl, and this and that. And the teacher's sitting up here and they going right along with that. They won't call the parents or whatever. And I will say, like the superintendent in my county, he's a Republican dude, but he's a pretty fair man, and even he's like, hey, listen here, there's certain issues that parents need to know about. We can't sit up here at school and we can't sit up here and make all these decisions like that without relaying this back to the parents. Now, you just like you said, you want to do all this pronoun and all this and that or whatever. They're sitting up here, they're saying that in these classrooms that they putting up all these posters and stuff like that about about this type of sex and trans this and trans that, and if you don't go along with that, then like certain teachers are becoming outcasted and considered bigots and this like that. So they're shaming these teachers and stuff like that. People got teachers saying, "Well, hey, I just came to school to like teach the curriculum, man. I came to teach what's in the book. I didn't come for all of this stuff like that. I don't want to put all this stuff up in my classroom. I'm a math teacher. I want to teach algebra. I'm an English teacher. I want to show you how to form complete sentences and add commas and stuff like that. I didn't come to do all of this that y'all talking about, man. But you have these major liberal think tanks that's up here working with all this garbage here, putting this shit up into place like that. And it's really not fair. And like I said, they're putting some of these teachers in the hearts. Now, some of these teachers are down for it. Some of these teachers, especially some of these female white teachers, they are pushing this hard. They are the biggest backers of this. They are pushing it, and they were the main ones that's up there that's talking about that like the transgender stuff and competing in sports, and that's racist and that's this and that. So they have been the main ones backing this, but you do have some teachers saying that this is not right. We're taking the role, we're taking parents out of the equation. We're doing stuff with their kids and whatnot. We're allowing their kids to do certain things, and we're not informing the parents. Like that's not our job. That's not right. That's like having a 13-year-old daughter at school and your teacher giving her birth control and saying, well, hey, it's not really the parents' fault. Or if you find out that the girl's pregnant, you go ahead and she has an abortion and the parents don't know and stuff like that. Like you're stepping, you know what I'm saying? You're crossing the line right there. Your mom, I see you got your hand back up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick. I don't mean to um, point the finger at the LGBT community because it's not really them. It's it's broader than that. It's pedophilia. I used to be a counselor in a maximum security prison, and I had to run therapy groups for sex offenders. And a lot of times I'd have pedophiles in there because they get busted for messing with people's children. And it's not about being gay or being attracted to the same sex or anything like that. These are people that are actually sexually attracted to children, and it even gets so deep. It's well, the technical term is paraphilia, and pedophilia is a part of it. But they get it gets so detailed that they actually have categories where some people are attracted only to boys under the age of 12, or some of them are attracted to girls from 8 to 15, or something like that. It's a whole lot deeper than what the average person knows. And like I say, I work with these people, and I had to. Well, you can't change them. There's no change them. Um, but I don't want to leave the impression that it's just same sex and it's just gay people after the kids. It's not that. There's a video out with a guy who's a drag queen, and he was talking about how he don't appreciate kids going to drag shows and stuff because that's not what he was talking about, all the sexual stuff and all the drugs and stuff and that goes on behind stage, and how he, as a drag queen, didn't appreciate having kids in the audience. I'm landing.
No, I know, and I'm not trying to say that being LGBT is the same thing as being a pedophile. I'm definitely not saying that. What I'm saying is that at these schools, you have teachers sitting up here, and because a child may be confused, you may have a child that's 9 years old and talking about they don't know if it's a girl, but don't know if she wants to be a boy and this and that, and you start helping this child by saying, okay, well, you were born a girl. Your mom and dad looks at you as a girl, but you know what? We're going to call you they or them or we and this and that. We're not going to call you a she, and we're not going to call you a she anymore. We're not going to refer to you as her. I mean, you can't do this without. I mean, if the child is going through those type of issues, saying that kind of stuff, you're supposed to go ahead and relay that to the parent, and then that's the parent's job. If the parent wants to go ahead and get therapy or do whatever that parent wants to do, fine, but don't sit up here as in the school board and sit up here and make decisions that you don't have the right to make. Don't sit up here and start calling people different genders and stuff that they were born, and you're dealing with kids right here. Kids who we don't know what's going through their mind. We don't know if this is just a phase or whatnot. I can't sit up here and say that that's right. That's definitely dead wrong. And as far as the drag shows and stuff, I said that before. Drag shows are something that should be left up to grown people. Same way with going to pride parades. That should be because at these parades, at these shows and stuff, you have all kind of adult behavior going on. Same way, like I say, if you were to go to Mardi Gras or you were to go to some of these mainstream festivals and stuff like that, adult type festivals, you don't need to bring no kids there whether the kid is heterosexual or not. It's for adults. So let the adults go there and leave the kids home. And they definitely don't need to be going to drag shows. Just like back in the day, they used to have what they call Black Beach Freak Nick down there in Atlanta, and Daytona had Black Beach. Well, you shouldn't be bringing no 9-year old to no Black Beach or Freak Nick. I don't care if the child is straight. I don't care if it's a red-blooded straight male. They should not be going to Black Beach or Freak Nick. That's just my personal opinion of it. You know, you can't stop people from bringing their kids and stuff like that. But to sit up here and say that for RuPaul to sit up here and say, well, you know, drag shows or this and that, like it's just fun entertainment, it's great entertainment, yada yada yada. I mean, even the article itself was heavily slanted, so I definitely can't get along with that. And for you guys that just came into it, we've been talking so far about a grandma who was killed by the cops by a high speed chase, and the cops have not been held accountable. And we're also talking about RuPaul talking about drag shows, and they're talking about in Texas possibly passing a bill to stop kids from going to drag shows. And RuPaul was basically saying that we need to worry about gun violence and worry about guns and worry about drag shows because drag queens aren't hurting anybody. So that's what the discussion has been centered at. In case any of you guys may want to raise your hand and speak, you're more than welcome. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Now, I was just gonna add this into it too. Like, I agree. If you're gay, you just want to be with that person. Cool. I don't think anyone has a problem with that. But when you start moving kind of into that pedophilia, yeah, anyone that's, I would say, rational would have a problem with that. I want to know, has any of the family ever looked into like the origins of the gay movement? Have you guys ever looked into that? Have you guys ever looked into what's that guy's name? His name was Harry Haight. I want everyone to look in that. He's considered the founder of the modern gay movement. He's considered the father of gay liberation. This man was a pedophile, straight up. Then he used to have this group that he would always support called NAMBLA. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, but NAMBLA is the North American Man Boy Love Association. Their motto, I mean, straight they I was all for it. Even the motto for NAMBLA at one point was sex by year 8 or else it's too late. That's how nasty these people were. And he even spoke, indirectly, I say, in support of relations between like adults and kids. He spoke at this conference. It was in NYU in 1983, and he said if the parents and friends of gays are truly friends of gays, they would know from their gay kids that the relationship with an older man is precisely what a 13, 14, or a 15-year-old kid sees more than anything else in this world.
Yeah, this joker lost his damn mind. I don't know what the hell he talking about. Like he definitely done went off the deep end with that garbage there. Nah, I never heard of him Ray until you just mentioned him. But
Yeah, Henry Hay, look him up. He's considered what I say the founder of the modern gay movement. That's the type of people that if you're not trying to be associated with pedophilia, you need to move completely. You can push those people to the as far back as you can get them. And that's my thing. If you're gay, you need to be speaking out like, hey, I don't want nothing to do. This cat here does not represent my thinking and what I want. And I feel like this is just me. If they would at least speak out against people like that, they would have more allies. I would definitely be like, yeah, I can agree with you on that. This dude was a pervert, he was a pedophile, and he does need to be associated with it, with you guys' movement. If you're trying to if it's truly about just loving another human being.
I mean, I'm in agreement with you on that. I mean, they definitely need to go ahead and speak up on that there because I mean, like I said, nobody's even trying to hit no nonsense like that. I want to thank DJ for his contribution on Cash App. If any of you guys like to donate to Newstoter, On Cash App, it's $Newstoter. If you have $1 that you don't mind giving and contributing to this new black media, it's $Newstoter. We also have our PayPal link up in the Jumbotron. We also have the PayPal link up in the Jumbotron, and we also have the Venmo link up in the Jumbotron. So if you guys want to contribute to the largest black news aggregator curation site in America today, pumping out content. And today we pumped up over 20 articles on the Twitter page. So if you guys get a chance, go look at the Newstoter Twitter profile page. We got over 20 some articles there. Just scroll down and you'll see them all. We got some of everything on there. Go ahead and please help us to further this mission of black news. DJ, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, hold on, man. I'm actually trying to find something to post to the Jumbotron that's concerning what we're talking about right here. Hold on one second. Sit right here. Yeah. Hopefully it goes through. Seems like my Wi-Fi been acting up lately.
Hey DJ, I sent you something too, just to back up what I was telling you guys about Harry Hay and Nambler. I sent it to you via DM, so I want you to be surprised if you could post it to the Jumbotron so everyone else can see.
Right, for sure. I'm gonna look at that in a sec, Ray. But I was trying to find that South Park episode when Cartman when he was looking for new friends and he went on the computer looking around and he found Nambler and shit. That episode is all facts, and that's exactly what they're trying to display nowadays. You know what I mean? On some real shit, right? So basically, Tyler, what you're saying about certain movies and TV shows, you got to remember too that they make these cartoon these cartoons nowadays for adults. So that way the adults come spending money because the message in it is pretty much subliminal. So an adult can enjoy it. So well, hey, look, that's something for me to go do. So I guess I can sit around for 2 hours with the kids and let them go watch whatever this new movie is that's coming out. That's pretty much got all the subliminal messages of the alphabet community for the most part. But go ahead, Ray.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put my hand up.
Yeah, man, it's just one of those things. Like I said, it's getting worse. Like I mean, now you're starting to get all of the. If it comes to a Marvel hero or it comes to a comic book hero, they got to make him gay. Didn't they have a Didn't they have the LGBT? Didn't they have it was an LGBT black superhero too or something on one of these stations or something like that? I believe. Oh, Mr. Terrific.
Yeah,
okay.
Right. That's true. Hey, Ray, follow me back on my Kite Productions account right here. So I ain't got to go with that one. All right.
I wanted to say too while I'm thinking about it, I believe OJ. A lot of people don't know this. OJ Simpson's father was LGBT.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he died in like the 90s of like 80s. He was like an open drag queen. I want to say he was also associated with that movement with Harry Hay back in the day. Excuse me, it couldn't have been because okay. Either way, still look that up, man.
Yeah, I know his father was definitely, and I think that probably did some stuff to OJ back in the day. He was a super athlete and whatnot. Cause I remember they had a story about it one time when the friends said they came to the house and like the dad basically had on the robe, and then when he opened the door a little bit further, and there was a man in there. So yeah, I'm sure they had to do something to his sight, especially during that time and era where OJ grew up in. So you could imagine the the comments and stuff he had to hear back then. Like I say, if somebody, listen, if somebody wants to live the lifestyle, hey man, live your lifestyle. I am not here to criticize or whatever. That's what you want to do, fine. I'm sure we all know LGBT people. We all live around them. Most of us got somebody in our family. So, I have no beef or no problem with him. My thing is this here when RuPaul started talking about having a drag show and having kids come there, and then he started like basically getting upset that how dare you say that kids shouldn't come to. I mean, come on, man. Why the hell does kids need to be? Tell me, why would a 10-year-old be sitting in a damn drag show? I mean, it's crazy. Go ahead, Ray.
No, I was gonna say, I'm with you. Like I said, we grew up watching a lot of folks we didn't even know was gay. Like what's his name, Howard Rollins. I'm probably showing my age a little bit right now.
Oh yeah.
I grew
in
up
the heat of the night. Yeah.
Yeah, in the heat of the night, he was openly LGBT. He used to wear dresses and all this other stuff. Yeah, this I forget the name, but he went by some crazy name that you know what I'm saying. So So I just said it's been out there, and as kids, like I said, we weren't really paying attention to it. But as we're older now, looking back, man,
Come on, man. We had Luther Vandross, we had Little Richard, we had all kind of people that we either suspected was gay or knew was gay, and it didn't matter. We still loved the people. We still supported their work. We still bought their music, this and that. So
yeah, they can't
a
ever
lot of
accuse us
times
of being
people,
homophobic. Because, like I said, we've always supported Little Richard
yeah,
and Luther Vandross. I played his music at my wedding. I mean, the music is just great. It doesn't take away from who he was. And what's his name? Like after he died, I believe it was Patti LaBelle actually spoke with him and said, "Hey, hey, I am gay, blah blah blah." He just didn't want to come out with his live. But I mean, anyone with damn eyes could have known. They just knew Luther was gay. Same thing with Tevin Campbell.
yeah. I didn't really see the need of Patty to come out and put the man out. He had been dead. I know they're supposed to be best friends, but he never publicly came out and said he was. He's been dead. Like, why even put it out there? Like, I mean, everybody had their suspicions. Everybody suspected this and that, but he never came out and said it. So, if your friend died and he kept that secret or whatever, why even come out and say that he was gay or whatever? Like, we pretty much already knew that. Like, we didn't really like. You didn't need a crystal ball or rub it and tell you whatever. Like, we pretty much already knew that. So what was the point of even, coming out trying to air a man out, air out dirty laundry, or even get your 15 minutes of fame already when you're already a superstar as Patty LaBelle is. Like, I never saw the point of that. So I really didn't like that when she did that personally. I felt like that was kind of, just. I thought she could have did better. Like, I mean, considering that this was somebody who idolized you and looked up to you, like, and I know he's gone and they can't hurt him and this and that, but the fact of the matter is that the man never came out and said he was. So why not just let it go? I mean, he's dead. There's no point in bringing it up. Nobody was mentioning Luther Vandross' name and then just out of the clip, yeah. I didn't really like that at all. Aunt Lai, I see you up in the house, sister. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
How y'all doing tonight? I just want to defend Patty. As a woman, I try to stick up for the woman. I just want to defend Patty LaBelle because she was asked. The question she asked wasn't something gay. It was a question in regards to something else. And defend my Patty question. She didn't mean it. It just came.
Hey, your mic is like,
yeah, you're breaking up.
Yeah, you're gonna have to start that conversation over, Mama. What's good, Jersey?
What's good? You can't hear me?
You started breaking up.
Oh, that's the man trying to get me because I'm suing him. So I was just saying I wanted to defend Patty, that I love me some Patty LaBelle. She didn't mean it. What happened was she was asked a trick question. And when she answered the question, some people took that question to say that she was outing him. Patty, you know how sometimes these reporters are asked a question just to get a response or whatever. Miss Patty didn't know what it was. She was just saying X, Y, and Z, and they took it like that. So she didn't say, oh, Luther Vandross is gay. She said something else. So, I just wanted to defend my Patty. But I love Miss Patty. I love Miss Patty.
No, I don't have no problem with Patty or whatever. Like I said, it's not outing him because he's dead or whatever. But I just felt like like I said, he never publicly came out and said it, even though it was always widely suspected. He and other R&B artists who I'm not even gonna name and say like that from that era also that got compared to him style wise and stuff that it was suspected and still is. But a lot of people suspected it. But my thing was like he never said it. So to me personally, if somebody was and Patty's been around, she's been in music long enough, she's been in entertainment long enough, she's savvy enough to know how to skate around that issue or whatever. And be like, hey, that I don't see the point of this and that because they try to do that with the guy on Family Matters, Carl Winslow. Like they was asking his TV son Darius McCray on that who played Eddie Winslow. They was asking like, yeah, Vlad. Matter of fact, it was Vlad ass, I think. And we were just talking about Vlad last night. Vlad was trying to get the dirt on him, and he was like, well, was he gay and this and that? And Eddie's basically like, what's the point? What difference does it make, so to speak? Like we ain't here for that, man. Like I mean, get out of here with this. And anybody that go to Vlad's show should know he's gonna be trying to dig for dirt, whatever. So I can appreciate the way that Eddie did do that. He was like, well, hey, it doesn't matter. this not what we talking about, this and that. He was a great TV dad and this and that. Let's just sometimes leave it at that, man, and just go on without like giving these people the ammunition they need. Ray, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, he's still alive. Won't they just go ask him? Like, why would you even want to put Eddie in that position? They. I've noticed like him and other interviewers, they do that. Like the same thing with Sherman Hemsley. Because, like I said, I had older parents. I grew up watching the Jeffersons, other things, and the same thing. Sherman Hemsley, he died. He didn't have a wife. He had no
Yeah.
kids. It just him. What's his name? Can't think of his name. Richard Pryor, the same thing. If you read his book, Richard was open when he talked about how like he went on like 2 weeks of just
Yeah.
doing all types of just nasty stuff. And Eddie Murphy, he got caught with that transgender in his car. That he claimed he was just giving him a ride. And what's his name too? Teddy Pendergrass, same thing. Teddy Pendergrass, when he crashed his car and got paralyzed, he was in there with a transgender. So, I mean, like, a lot of my favorite people that I grew up listening to were LGBT. That doesn't take away from the music. It was still great. And I still love the TV shows like with the Jeffersons and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like I said, like they always said stuff about Sherman Hemsley, and they always said stuff. Hell, man, if you was to hear about white Hollywood, like all of those supposedly white Hollywood stars back in the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, like all these people that were supposed to be leading men and leading women and stuff like that. Even a lot of these politicians, you hear stuff about Eleanor Roosevelt and all this other stuff, man. Like we can't just act like this is something that just popped up today, man. Like, so you're right about that. Like, and like I said, we've always supported these people, movies and the music and this and that. Like, hey, you grown. What you do behind closed doors is your business, man. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
you got to throw J. Edgar Hoover in there too.
yeah, well, ain't no doubt about J. Edgar Hoover, and that's why he was up there trying to ruin everybody else because of his little fixation and stuff and certain lifestyles. So he had to make sure he had as much dirt on everybody else as possible.
I heard he was buried not too far away from one of his lovers.
Probably. And also, people used to always say something like he had a black relative and stuff like that too. That's one reason he hated black people so much. If that's true or not, I don't know. But yeah, people trying to say that he had some black in his blood.
Yeah, he was buried someone next to his name was Clyde Tolson. I mean, he was
Yeah,
like his assistant director for like years. And they're buried not too far away from each other.
yeah, that
Hey,
was.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, he had a little secret crush, his little honey bunch. KC, I see you up in the spot, man. Go ahead and unmute your mic. Good to have you up in the spot, man.
Yo, Toter, man, thanks so much for having this space. What's up to the fam in the chat room? Allow me to channel my inner big worm for a quick second. What the fuck that got to do with us? All these daggone folks coming out as LGBT this and LGBT that and LGBT the other. Man, we have gone for the past 4 or 5 minutes going over different black stars from Richard Pryor to Eddie Murphy, Flip Wilson and everybody else who had some kind of LGBT, hell, Whitney Houston, for God's sake, had some kind of LGBT connectedness somewhere in their, in their past, in their history, in their present, or whatever. That does not take away from their talent, which is the exact reason why the black community, for the most part, we sat there and supported them because they didn't make that a part of their art. Now we got everybody else who wants to sit here and talk about, I eat cat and I slang this and that and the freaking third. Man, look, if you're talented, the talent will come through. You don't have to put all that extra mess out there. And you definitely do not have to bring kids into it at all. I mean, let's be for real. A broken clock is right twice a day. And as much as I hate to admit it, I am in complete agreement with the Republicans and the conservatives on this. This is way too much. Way too much. Because if you can't sit here and talk about God and Jesus and Yahweh or anything like that in school, you can't sit here and teach about black history. You can't sit here and teach about any of the true realities of the Holocaust. But you can sit here and talk about, swirling your pussy in a circle all day long and nobody's supposed to be able to say nothing about it. Man, come on. You're talking about 4 or 5, year old children, kids that have even no idea idea, no inkling what that thing between their legs is for, and you got some degenerate with a freaking bachelor's degree that's going to sit there and tell them that, oh, it's perfectly okay. No, it's not perfectly okay. Let that child have a childhood, for God's sake. Stop sitting up here wanting to talk about what you do in the damn bedroom. What they do in the bedroom is either pee their bed or sleep. That's about all they need to do and all they need to know. And yeah, we had our little cartoons way back in the day. Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck will sit up here and cross dress. But I mean, that's for like, what, 3 seconds out of a 15-second serial? You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like, ooh, yeah, I'm a rape Elmer Fudd right here because, that's just what I identify as. Man, come on. Enough is enough. We as parents, we as a community have to call this mess to a stop. And your mama, I'm sorry, I got to disagree with you there, sweetheart. This does involve the LGBTQ community because they're the ones whose banner and umbrella that they're sitting here pushing this crap out there with. So they need to be the ones to sit here and talk about that mess ad nauseum. Look, if you 16, 17, 18, you are the age of consent. That's what you choose to do. Fine. If you're underneath that and you're still sitting here talking about Pokemon and Digimon and all that other kind of mess, man, leave that mess alone. We'll wait. You don't need to be taught that mess right now. Obviously, they found it. You know what I'm saying? So why in the heck do you need to have some textbook that you can't even get an algebra book that's current within the school, but you can definitely get a textbook talking about Jane has two mommies. Man, fuck out of here with that already. I'm landing my plane.
Yes, sir, Casey. Definitely like that opinion right there. Like I said, we I can't go along with this. Though. I can't go along with no drag shows. I can't go along with taking kids to pride parades. I can't go along, like I say, you can have a straight kid. I can't go along with taking no 11-year-old kid to no damn, and I know Dwayne Wade's son was like 11 years old when they drug him down there to the gay parade in Miami, which I live in Florida, so I can imagine how wild and what he must have seen out there. I can't get down with that. I can get down with taking no 11-year-old kid, like I say back in the day, to Freakmaker or Black Beach. I mean, no, I just can't get with that. I mean, now, like you say, they 17, they 18, and something like that. That's one thing. But when you 11 and 10 and 12 and 13, 14, nah, brother, I don't care if you're straight or gay or whatever you identify with. You gonna have to go there when you get grown on your own. You gonna have to go ahead and pay for that trip yourself, there, bro. We not finna go ahead and we not paying for that ride there, so you gonna have to do that on your own yourself, my boy.
Oh, and seeing as how you brought that up, that's a real good thing. I appreciate you bringing it up and reminding me. Anybody know law? Because I'm quite sure that in between Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, the crap that they doing with their son, putting them out on social media every which way, wearing halter tops and kissing trans girls and all, isn't that child pornography on some level? I'm just asking.
That much I couldn't answer this in, but I know Dwayne Wade is the main one sitting up here talking about that he worries about his child's safety and this and that, and I'm saying, man, if you're really worried about it, why not just why put this child out there so that child could be ridiculed by everybody? Because not everybody's gonna share your idea that you're doing the right thing. You're gonna have people that's gonna sit up and that's gonna completely disagree. So why put the child out there like that? Like you're making him the face of this and that. So I mean, and then you got other people saying, well, you shouldn't say this, you shouldn't say that, but that's not human nature. You do something like that, people are gonna have a reaction to it, and it's gonna be two sides of an argument. Some people may support it and say that it's great and that this child is champion this and champion that, and other people just gonna look down on it like, hey man, this is a confused child that should not be out there. Is a dad living vicariously through this child? A lot of people wonder. So, nah.
Hey, it's just like DNA evidence, baby. You're sitting there sipping on a plastic bottle or a cup or something like that. The minute you throw it into the trash and it goes outside, it's public. You can't sit there and say, oh, well, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine. It's the same with Dwayne Wade's kids, man. If this is something that he wanted to do, let him do that behind closed doors until he's, 18 and off or 19 and off at the University of, Southern Cal. and then he decides he wants to do that. That's fine. That's him. That's him taking on an adult decision. He's 12, 13 years old, man. He's still a child. Jesus.
No doubt. And hey, you're not gonna get no argument from me on that. I'm in total agreement with you. Y'all go ahead, and if you can, go ahead and support Newstoter on Cash App. That's $Newstoter. That's $Newstoter. You can also support us on PayPal. The link is in the Jumbotron. And you can also support us on Venmo. I believe your mama, you're next, so go ahead and unmute your mic.
Oh, I just wanted to say real quick, Casey, you misunderstood me. I wasn't trying to cut this LGBT off the hook. I was just trying to make the point that it's broader than just them, because you've got people out here that are married and got kids of their own. I'll give you an example. Like I don't know if you heard me or not, but I used to work with these people, and I had this one guy that was married to a grown woman, and he would come to therapy and talk about how much in love he was and all the romantic things he did. And we came to find out he was talking about this woman's little girl. So all I was saying is they use the gay is the agenda, but it goes beyond them. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely. I'm in complete agreement with you, 1,000%. Because I believe that that's what all this mess is coming to a head for anyway, is to sit there and normalize deviant sexuality, so this way you can slip in NAMBLA and the rest of the degenerates that want to sit there and be with kids. That's got to be the ultimate goal.
Exactly. That's my point. Thanks, brother.
Oh, you're welcome. In fact, didn't California pass a law like a year and a half ago or so, where if a grown man identified as an 8-year-old girl, he could legally have sex with an 8-year-old child, an 8-year-old boy, and it would be, there's nothing they can do about it?
Nah, I didn't hear that, bro. I'm gonna tell you straight up, I ain't hear no crap like that. And I sure as hell hope that's not true either.
I heard it. I don't know if they passed it or not, but I know they was talking about it.
Yeah, I know it came up as a bill.
If somebody passes that, then they need to get kicked in the ass for even coming up with some bill like that, proposing something like that. Because hell no. I don't give a damn. Like we need to stop something like that, nip that in the bud from day one. Like whoever comes up with that needs to be ran up out of political office as well too. Let me go ahead and thank Career for the donation on Cash App. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Ray, you next. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
I was gonna say the bill they're talking about in California is SB 145. If anyone wants to look it up, and it's supposed to end California's anti-LGBT discrimination treatment for specific sex acts regarding sex offender registry laws. So I let the family read into that. But the brother Casey, he said something very interesting that I wanted to kind of definitely harp on. Luther Vandross, Whitney Houston, and anybody else that was LGBT. Their talent spoke for them. We didn't even care because their talent was so great. The problem is with this generation, with the Lil Nas X's, they don't have any talent. Lil Nas X is a damn one-hit wonder. He really is. The only thing I know him was that Old Town Road song. He got all these awards and pushing, trying to make it seem like he's an artist of the millennium. He's really not. He's a talentless one-hit wonder. He really is. Thanks.
Yeah, he has no talent, but anytime you get a brother to get up there and pretend that he's pregnant and go to just cutting the fool the way this boy cut the fool, I mean, he is just like the wet dream for the white media. So he does their bidding. They love him. They love Billy Porter and stuff like that. So
Tyler, can I add this in real quick?
Go ahead, man.
So I just want to add this into, like I was saying, that bill, that SB 145. This is what it says. Under long-standing California law, if an adult has voluntary penile/vaginal intercourse with a minor age 14, 15, 16, or 17, and is up to 10 years older than the minor, the offense is not automatically registered. The judge has the discretion.
I don't know if y'all can get it.
Sex offender registry. Say again.
What was that? I didn't hear it.
I'll just read it again. For the long-standing California law, if an voluntary penile or vaginal intercourse with a minor
Yeah, Casey. Hold on one second, Ray. Yeah, Casey, we can hear you. Just go ahead and unmute your mic real quick while Ray reads.
You want me to go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead, Ray.
So this was introduced by a man named Scott Wiener. Coincidence. It said under long-standing California law, if an adult has voluntary penile or vaginal intercourse with a minor age 14, 15, 16, or 17 and is up to 10 years older than the minor, the offense is not automatically registered. A judge has the discretion whether or not to place the defendant on the sex offender registry. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's beyond crazy. That's beyond crazy. Casey, you still there?
Yeah, brother, I'm here.
I see you had your hand up. Go ahead and speak.
Oh, no. That was from earlier. I'm not sure why it didn't drop you down, but it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, that is just a sick, disgusting. Uh, bruh, they need to put that ass whooping on at the middle of the field during the Super Bowl, just so we can make an example. Because there is no way you should even be talking about any child like that. That is pedophilia and should be damn near punishable by death. That's just me.
Yeah, that's worthy at the very least of kicking ass. At the very least. DJ, go ahead and you got your hand up. Go ahead and speak.
Yeah, just wanted to say, I agree with what everybody's saying. And, one of the greatest, and I know this is probably an argument for those that listen to gospel, but one of the greatest gospel singers was a gay man, Sylvester, for those that know who I'm talking about. And I yelled there.
Yeah, I forgot. Did Sylvester do I thought he did R&B too.
He grew up in the church though. That was his original. He came out gospel, but obviously pop music was coming of age, disco, stuff like that. So, transition from that. But he, towards the end of his life, he went back to the church. Some of the greatest gospel records was written and produced by him. Look it up.
Okay, did Sylvester dog AIDS?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I know he used to sing with the big girls, the 2 tons of fun, so they loved him. I'm gonna go ahead, y'all, and I'm gonna read get to another story. Like I said, we can definitely come back to this, but I want y'all to hear about this what this black woman was going through in Georgia. She was an educator. She had just came to the school district and she was teaching critical race theory. So we're gonna check out exactly how they treated her in nice old Georgia. And this story here was published by Black Enterprise. It said white folks twice run an educator out of town over critical race theory. Educator Cecilia Lewis was twice ran out of towns in Georgia by white Trump supporters, according to ProPublica. Lewis, who was a principal at a Maryland middle school, and her husband were preparing to move from Maryland to the town of Woodstock in 2021 after she accepted a position with the Cherokee School District about 30 minutes from her new town. Lewis quit the position before she even began Lewis quit the position before she even began after hostile white parents in the school district attended a school board meeting and complained about the district's plan to implement equity and inclusive initiatives. They were also angry about the school's district's non-existent plans to teach critical race theory, a course only taught at the college level and something Lewis had not even heard of at the time. Rumors about the school district teaching the course spread online by conservatives after Lewis was hired. Lewis told reporter Nicole Carr that she accepted the position in order to help students in need. Law enforcement officers were forced to escort several board members home to protect them from angry parents, some of them who banged on the windows from outside the meeting. Cherokee County GOP President Chair Mandy Heater was incensed by the prospect of Lewis teaching her children, but claimed it was not because of the color of her skin. When I got a text message from somebody saying that this person was hired, I immediately was like, oh my goodness, where are my people? You cannot tell me, that you can't find somebody else qualified here to say it. And if you're looking for her to be black, that's fine. But that's not what this is about. This is not about the color of her skin. It's what she's going to bring into our district and what she's going to teach our children. Lewis said she had no such desire to work in a hostile environment and turned in her resignation the day after the board meeting. The message I received from Cherokee County community who has never met me or tried to get to know me, not the position, is we do not want you here. You do not belong here, and you're not welcome here. Highlighting the fact that the work of celebrating and appreciating diversity instead of denying or judging is much needed in this district. She said, I pray this does not happen to any student or family the school system is charged with serving, protecting, and supporting under their care. After much prayer, deliberation, and counsel from my family and friends, my decision to terminate my contract with CCSD came down to me no longer feeling safe and the work I was hired to do supported or prioritized by the CCSD Board of Education. Lewis added that once the community was told critical race theory was not going to be taught in the district, there should be no more controversy. After accepting position with the Cobb County School District, Lewis again was run out by angry parents, according to PBS. A comment under an article in Cobb County Carrier noted Lewis had found a position in Cobb County. She worked for the school district for a few months before resigning in the fall of 2021. A group called Four Can Do More claimed Lewis had a history riddled with critical race theory. Complaints soon poured in demanding Lewis be removed, and she eventually resigned. So we see the impact of critical race theory, which I hate that damn term, critical race theory. What in the hell is critical race theory, anyways? Is just teaching history, just teaching true American history considered critical race theory? Because I absolutely despise that term. There is no critical race theory. There's only history. It's American history. It's the history of black people in this country, the treatment of what they went through. Now all of a sudden, like these little snowflakes are like too delicate to even hear like what actually happened. Now, their parents heard it growing up to a certain extent, but now their kids are too good to hear it. Ray, you got your hand up. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to ask the family, does anyone have a definition of exactly what critical race theory is? Because, like you said, it's history. It's not some theory we're making up. This is what really happened. And the reason why I feel like they fight so hard against is because once you acknowledge that it happened, the next logical question is going to be asked is, okay, what do we do about it? And they don't want to get to that because obviously that leads to a reparations conversation.
Well, in actuality, to answer that question, folks, critical race theory is not just about history, quote unquote. You know, like your learning about Thomas Edison or Thomas Jefferson or Stonewall Jackson, anything of that nature. Critical race theory is actually a law subset that they teach lawyers that talks about the past instances of discrimination, Jim Crow, all that, and the effects that it has had on black defendants and black accused in the law, and how it's supposed to be equal, but it's showing where it's not, and how to more or less have empathy towards any of your black clients. It really has nothing to do with history whatsoever. But the right wing took it and just threw it up against the wall, and it stuck. And so now we're having everybody go ape nuts over critical race theory when that's not even what it's about. But hey, you can't sit there and tell them, because they're gonna believe what they want to believe regardless of the truth that's put in front of them anyway. I'll land my plane.
DJ, you got your hand up. Go ahead and speak.
Yeah, so to reiterate what KC just said, that, and from the early onset of when they tried to enact CRT inside of the educational system, it seemed from some reports or certain things that I was seeing that you had certain educators maybe blaming white folks of today. See what I'm saying? And that, like Casey said, they just kind of, the GOP or DNC, whoever, just got a hold of wind of that and just blew the shit up out of proportion. When we already know, like you reiterated before, Newstoter, what the hell is CRT or critical race theory? Well, that's just American history. Why are they trying to frame it into a new slang word or whatever, or a new subject? It's either American history, Black American history. You could say white American history. You know what I mean? If you want to say that CRT, critical race, as a bunch, you know what I mean? If you want to put a label on it, hey, then find CRT or whatever it's going to be. But it's nothing more than Black American, American history. And that in itself is no different from American pop. You know what I'm saying? Is embedded in the culture. So, white folks of today, when you hear them talk about, well, I didn't have a slave or whatever, I ain't enslave you, I ain't force you to pick no cotton. Yeah, and not even to say your ancestors may have, because you saying you came here after 1900s, but you benefit from everything that was built and done prior to that. So therefore, meaning you are, going to be paying reparations because technically you're a guest in this house. So at the end of the day, yeah, your family may not have enslaved mine or whatever the case be, but somebody still has to pay for that because the debt is owed. Fill order number 15. Somebody got to pay up, man. It's just what it is. So that's another thing they're upset about. But nobody said that you owe me anything, white person of today. The government does, the federal government. So that's nothing to even argue about. But we don't hear them arguing or raising a fuss when Joe Biden is sending all his money across to Ukraine. And so far, the numbers isn't, all the money that he sent over there so far, he could have gave each American $1 million. Yield there.
Tell me now, would this woman have a case for having a hostile workplace? I mean, you got people really ready to tear her apart over something she barely even knew about, critical race theory. Because I mean, I didn't even, none of us, I didn't even heard that term until last year, critical race theory. Like critical race theory, like hell is critical race theory. So they've already pretty much, like they say, chased her out of a couple positions simply because, like, of course, they'll say it's not about her skin color. Like that's a number one giveaway when you say that. Then yeah, okay, thank you for just validating what it's really about. But the fact that, like I say, that they created, I mean, people banging on windows and stuff like that, and over just, I mean, simply a possible curriculum that could be taught at a school or whatever. I mean, at a district, that just seems to me that seems like she would have a case to file. Like, I mean, file some kind of suit or whatever. I'm not a lawyer or anything like that. And I don't know if we have any lawyers up in the space, but to me that just seems a little bit crazy and whatnot. Your mama, go ahead and unmute your mic.
I was just going to mention, if anybody knows the history of Cobb County, Georgia, it was all about her skin color. And as far as critical race theory, that came out of academia, like was mentioned earlier, and it really had nothing to do with elementary school or high school or anything. That's just white people's way of, number one, running from their evil deeds, and number two, pushing back against our reparation claims. I'm landed.
When you think about the history that's taught in this country anyway, it's totally 110% from a white man's perspective. Like, the only thing that when history starts with, in terms of us black people, that all of us that went to school, the first thing we were taught that we were slaves. I mean, you never learned. I mean, I can tell you this because I graduated in the '90s, late '90s. You never heard about where you came from, where your people migrated from, where they came from. Only thing when history started, it started that, yeah, that black people brought over here and slaves and this and that, and that was the logistic. You cover from slavery to the civil rights era. That's your history there. That's like the only. It seems like that's the only time we live. Like, yeah, you guys came from Africa, but you guys were slaves here for the most part, and then you would put in Jim Crow, and then you put in segregation, then Martin Luther King March, and now you guys are free, and that's your history. Now we can you can do world history, and you can talk about all of the powers of Europe and stuff. You get to cover Greece and Rome, and you get to cover some of the Western world and this and that. They started they would scratch the surface a little bit maybe of Egypt. Of course, Egypt was always considered lily white. May touch parts of Asia or something like that, but like I say, in terms of us, we were just slaves and we were put in Jim Crow, and that was it. And I mean, so based on their own, I mean, based on their own history books, when they had like we came into existence was doing slavery and this and that, you would have to say based on their own interpretation of things, then life for us would have been complete hell. So I mean, I don't know exactly what the argument is here. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic.
I was just gonna add this one thing I absolutely hate hearing when we start talking about history is when people say that the Civil War was our reparations. That pisses me off. I think out of all the arguments, that's the one. Because if you truly know your history and you know about how the Northern Whites, how they started randomly killing black people in the draft riots, and then when the Civil War was announced, read about that, the draft riots, and then how after the Civil War was over, how the Union soldiers put thousands of black people into concentration camps. We were the first ones in concentration camps down in Natchez, Mississippi. If anyone knows the history on the Devil's Punch Bowl down there.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Like I say, and then like you said, you always say about the Irish, how the Irish was mistreated in this country and how bad they treated the Irish, how they did the Irish so bad. Man, the Irish is up there in New York City shooting black people down left and right. They was pissed off that they had to go and serve in the damn war. They blamed black people for the problem, and they were up there shooting and killing black people left and right. A part of history that they very rarely ever speak to, because the Irish did not want to go fight. A lot of them did not want to go fight in that war. They sure didn't want to go fight for no black person.
And I wanted to say this too, since we're bringing up the Irish, they got their money. Has anyone ever heard of the Freedom Dues? The Irish got money and land.
Every ethnic group that went through something in this country, as long as they weren't black, got some kind of form of reparation. Every ethnic group, whether it was the Irish or the Italians or the Japanese or the Chinese or the Indians, whoever it was in this country that went through any hard times in this country, got something back for their mistreatment, except one ethnic group, and that's black people. Every ethnic group got something back, whether it was the amount that they should have got or whatever, they got something back in return, except one group of people. That was black people. The fact, like I said, you got, and she's right, your mama's right about D, because I'm in Florida, so we know all about these good old boys in Georgia, these rednecks up there, so that you ain't saying nothing that we don't know, because trust me, the apple don't fall far from the tree. In Florida and Georgia are pretty much joined at the hip with that same. Florida might have a little bit more because people think, well, Florida's just full of immigrants, and that would be true in South Florida and even parts of good parts of Central Florida. But people forget about the Panhandle up in Florida, which is still is like an extension of South Georgia and South Alabama as you start going out west and whatnot. So please, please, your mama, you're next. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
I just wanted to add that CRT ain't nothing but a cover. White folks are running from their history. Because they always want to, like, just like you were talking about, they always want to point at us and say, well, we had y'all as slaves, and y'all couldn't read, y'all didn't have no culture, and y'all didn't have no civilization, and if it hadn't been for us, you'd have still been in the jungle, and all that bullshit. And that's what they want to call history. And with that CRT, the only reason they're even talking about it is because of our coming up with our reparation claim for the justice for the evil that they've done against us in this country. And an example of that is the fact that they've kept us economically suppressed. But they want to tell us that they came here, their granddaddy came here with $2 and worked hard and built up a company and all that bullshit. But they don't want to talk about the Homestead Act, where in the 1900s or before the 1900s, they went over to Europe and gathered up all that European trash, brought them over here because they were economically getting beat by the former slaves, and that was kicking their butt. So they went running over to Europe, grabbed up all the European trash, brought them over here, gave them all land, gave them all money, gave them all education because they didn't know how to farm that land, and things like the GI Bill, when those soldiers came back from World War I and got student loans and got money for housing and stuff, and blacks were excluded. They don't want that stuff to come out because that is the foundation of our claim for reparations in this country. And that's all that CRT is. That ain't nothing but white folks just using that as a cover for the fact that they don't want to pay reparations. I'm landing.
Yeah, no doubt. And that story, I hate that story that you just mentioned because it is just like the most loaded BS I ever heard. First, I hate hearing talk about you came over here with just $2 in your pocket and nothing. First off, even back when y'all came over in the late 1800s or whatever, two damn dollars was not going to bring you across the Atlantic Ocean, find you room and board, put clothes on your back, put food on your table. Knock it off with that nonsense. You came over here and you became instantly part of the what you like to hate to talk about welfare. No way is $2 in your pocket gonna bring you from damn Ireland across the Atlantic Ocean to New York to get you a place to stay at, to put food on your table. You don't have a job, so how you gonna support yourself? No, you came over here off of welfare, off of white supremacy, and you was able to live and you was able to eat off of what these black people put up here on the table. So I hate hearing when I hear immigrants come up here with garbage like that, talking about you only had $2 in your damn pocket. There's only one group of people that came over here that didn't have anything in their pockets, and that would have been the black people that was caught up in the transatlantic slave trade. Those would have been the only people that came over here that didn't have a damn dollar to their name. Because when those people came, they didn't have to worry about getting food because they was gonna be fed scraps. They didn't have to worry about having a place to live at because they was gonna be thrown in some damn mud hut with dirt floors. So those are the only people in this country that came over here that absolutely had nothing to their name and was able to build and create something. So I hate hearing that little immigrant fairy tale that they love to tell and that garbage that they love to promote and this and that because that is just a goddamn white lie if I ever heard one. You came over here, like the sister said, you had the Homestead Act, you had all of this land that white people was giving away. They gave you jobs that should have went to black people. They did that to go ahead and undermine the race even more. So no, you did not come over here. You did not come over to this wilderness and build it up and this and that. No, you came to a country that overnight became a world power thanks to its black population. So I hate hearing that damn immigrant lie that they perpetuate and they tell, and you have a lot of immigrants that say that it's not just the white ones. You have some black immigrants that come over here and tell that same garbage. You got Latino immigrants that come over here and tell you that same garbage. And I tell anybody that's a damn lie. You did not come over here with $2. You damn sure didn't come over with $2 and come across the Atlantic Ocean and then go ahead and get you some food and then find your place. Now you're not living on the street, but you got you a place to stay at with $2. Man, come on, stop it. That's just nonsense. For all of you guys that's just coming into the room, go ahead and tweet out the space. Also, we've been talking about a grandmother who was killed by the cops. We were talking about RuPaul's insisting that kids should be able to go and attend drag shows. Right now, we're talking about an educator who was in Georgia who got ran out of the city, got ran out of the county twice by people that was opposed to CRT, the critical race theory teaching. Also, if you guys have not, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is in the actual jumbotron. You can also subscribe to. You can also follow our Facebook page, and that is our Facebook group. That is the Black Culture Newsroom. You can also support Newstoter on Cash App. That's $Cash App. Once again, that's $Cash App. You can also visit the website, newstoter.com. We got thousands of articles and posts on there that you can read. We have curated news from some of the top black websites in the country. Go ahead and make sure you visit newstoter.com daily. Also, you can support us on our PayPal. That's also in the Jumbotron. And our Venmo is also in the Jumbotron. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic.
I just wanted to add on to what your mama was talking about. It wasn't just that. It was the 1830 the Indian Removal Act, the 1862 Homestead Act, the 1790 Naturalization Act, uh, the Social Security Act of 1935, the GI Bill, Veterans Assistance, Housing Authority, the healthcare system, uh, the Wagner Act of 35, the Federal Housing Authority, the Jim Crow laws. I mean, it's just been handout after handout after handout. And I want to say after one of the world wars, they built up one of the nations with the, what was the name of that stupid act? The Marshall Act. I mean, it's just been nonstop money just being given out. And we're the only ones when it comes to getting money that is the problem. I've heard something, and it's kind of true. I hate to say it, but they say that the reason why they don't want to give us the reparations because they feel like we deserve it. That's just what it is. And I hate to say it. These folks really think we deserve to be mistreated like this, and I don't understand why because we haven't done anything to them. If anything, we've just tried to get along with them. after what is it, 250, 300 years. That's all we've ever tried to do is get along with y'all. And they just steady just want to see us buried.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, look, I think the main reason they don't want to give that money up because, like I said, I mean, when you're so used to being sitting over somebody, almost ruling over them, and then you have somebody that would be looking you eye to eye, and somebody that can surpass you. They've seen what we've been able to do with scraps and whatnot. So now you're going to go ahead and give us all of the materials to go ahead and build and create and flourish, and that I mean that's scary. Even though that they were still in this country, we would still get some money back simply because we're in the country. They do not want that.
Yeah, but this is my thing too. If they would actually do it, do they understand how united this country really would be? If they actually gave us, and let us really be free like that, it would build the country up. But it's almost like they want to keep it divided. And realistically, at some point, I mean, we need to obviously start doing something for ourselves and start building up our own institutions. If they can't, if they're not willing to come up with the money, I mean, they're going to do it eventually. They're going to have to because a house of violence is eventually going to fall on itself.
You talk about people that originate from a group of colonizers who believe, I mean, that every resource on earth should be theirs, even resources that was not native to where they come from. They feel like they should be able to have and they should be able to possess and they should be able to control. It has not been in their it's not in their history to share. It's in their history to hog everything up and to squeeze it for every drop they can get. They believe in bleeding a turnip. So for them to go ahead and do something, that's always been the case. Even when they had these colonies all throughout the world, you know how these people could have ruled and stuff like that. They could have said, hey, y'all go ahead and y'all manage it. Y'all live a good life and this and that. You just kick something back to us or whatever. But no, they couldn't do that. They have to dominate because that they come from a place where domination is the only thing they know. It's dog eat dog. It's cut each other's throat. That's all they know. Coming out of that ice box and coming out of that era that they came from, only thing they know is dog eat dog. Indians when they came over here with Indians and black people, wherever they went in the world, indigenous people was more than willing to share resources with them, share land with them. But that wasn't what they wanted. They didn't want to share. When they came over here, when the worst thing happened, when they got guns and they knew that they had the advantage because let's be for real, the Western Europeans wasn't going all throughout the world and colonizing and this and that until they got damn gunpowder, until they got guns in their hand. Once they got guns in their hand, their whole heart and their courage changed. Okay, it changed. They went, like I said, they came across native people all throughout this world, people that had resources, people that had food, people that had land, clean water, this and that. People like, oh yeah, well you can go ahead and you can set up camp over there and this and that, and yeah, we'll be over here. And then people thinking like, well, hey, we got the firework, we got the arms, we got the guns, we got this, we got that. Why don't we just take everything from these people? Take every resource from them. They ain't doing nothing with them. And then people say a lot of times, like, well, back then that this wasn't a sovereign nation and you didn't have a deed to just stuff that they came up with, just pure BS to go ahead and steal and stuff like that. So it's not in their nature. They see they want to keep black people down because they feel deep down inside, they feel this way. They feel that if they had been treated the way black people had been treated, they would have been rose up by now. They feel that deep down in their heart that if they had to go through and they had to endure what black people have endured in this country and worldwide, that they wouldn't have taken that. They would have been have done something by now.
But that's even more reason for them to do the right thing, though. Well, at least in my opinion, if you know that you're sitting on a ticking time bomb, why would you not do the right thing?
Because you've been dominating a group of people and you've been dominating the world for the last 500 or so years, if not a little bit longer. So nobody ever thinks that it's going to ever end. Nobody like Rome didn't think until the actual end that it was actually about to end. The same with Greece and Egypt and all the powers like Great Britain. Like nobody thinks it's ever going to come to an end till it actually ends. When it comes to an end, once they can see the end in sight, then they're like, oh well, we should have done this, we should have done that, but it's too late. But when you've been kicking people's teeth down their throat for hundreds of years, almost a millennium now, and you have dominated. And I mean, think about it. The people from their continent, we all speak French or English or Spanish. We speak the language of these people. We live their customs. We do their religions, we do their holidays and this and that, like their impact and their influence on this world, man. Like when you see stuff like that, their currency, the dollar, is the currency of the world. When you see stuff like that, it's just hard to actually relinquish that. And like I said, you're talking to a group of colonizers, a group of people who everything that they got in this world came by force. Not anything that they got didn't come by force. So for them to just go ahead and renege and just give up all of that, easier said than done. And they understand, like I said, they understand. They seen how the world was before they came to power, and they don't want to be third or fourth or fifth fiddle anymore. They want to be number one. Your mama, go ahead and unmute your mic.
You practically said everything that I wanted to say, Newstoter. I was just thinking about how we're not talking about the brightest people on the planet either. This stuff came out of the caves with a mentality of scarcity. Nature all but killed them all for them 20,000 years or however long their asses was cooped up in them caves and fighting with each other and eating the young and eating the elderly and they all they know is just they're working on a strictly animalistic survival mode. And they came out of the caves that way, and they didn't have sense enough to shake it off, and they weren't able to shake it off because they've got calcified pineal glands. And I won't get into all the details on that, but it's just like you say, it's their nature. They can't help themselves. And what our problem is, we keep thinking they're human. They're not. These people have Neanderthal genes. They are not quite human. And if they hadn't have mated with us, they'd be more animalistic than what they really are. And to get back to what Ray was saying earlier, yeah, they do feel like they've done enough for us. They feel like that they did us a favor by making us slaves. They really thought when the Spanish and the Portuguese made those Pope made those papal bulls about Christianizing the heathen and making slaves out of infidels, the rest of us. And they thought by dragging us over here and grabbing up the people that were already here, making us slaves, they thought they actually did us a favor. So they feel like what they've done to us since that time, and you can add that Civil War in there, that lie they tell about freeing the slaves, because that ain't nothing but a lie. They really think they've done enough for us. They think they civilized us. I'm on land right there because I'm getting ready to teach history, so I'm not careful.
No problem, sister. I was enjoying it. I was enjoying it. Like I said, to me, like you say, it's in their nature. I mean, the way that they lived over there. I mean, like I say, man, it's like this here. You can't even grow certain fruit or certain vegetables in this country without these people talking about that there's certain seeds and this and that, and you have to, and you cross pollinate and you owe them money. And I mean, everything on earth now, man, you have to pay for it because these people have gone ahead and they have made it a business, whether it's drinking water, whether it's the land, whatever it is, foods, whatever. Like they have completely taken it and taken it and taken it. So their whole thing, man. Like I said, they come from a land where you could have a lord or something like that, and you could have a family out there that was serfs, and if they and let one of them serfs or peasants go ahead and kill a deer on their property, they're gonna put him and his family to death. This is where they come from. So like, this is their mindset, man. These people are colonizers. They have when you go ahead and you colonize a third or half of the world, man. I mean, it is what it is. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic.
So I have to get ready for work in a couple hours. I have to be up at 2 a.m., but I want to lead the family with this. The scripture is directly talking to us, family. John 15, verse 18 and 19. It says, the world hates you. You know that it hated me before it hated you. If you were of this world, the world will love its own. Yet you are not of the world, but I choose you out of the world. Therefore, the world hates you. Family, that's talking directly to us.
Hey man, we appreciate you stopping in, man. I know you be having to get up early in the morning, man. And once again, I appreciate you stopping in and showing the space some love like you always do. We'll be holding another space tomorrow, so make sure you come through if you get a chance, man.
What time?
Uh, I'm thinking tomorrow may be an early one. I'm not sure. It may be one, maybe around 7 o'clock or so. So I'll go ahead and I'll let you know beforehand.
Okay, did the judge say whether he was going to be able to come on this week or not?
I'm gonna hit him up tomorrow and see what's up. Like he said, he had to check his schedule, so I'm gonna give him a little chance. I want to kind of like wait during the week before I hit him up on Tuesday and see what's going on and whatnot.
Okay, and I was going to say, definitely, reach out. He knows a lot of people. He can put some other people on, because, the big names, obviously that's going to make your space grow, which is what I want to see.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Like I say, I don't really know. Like as I get to know him a little bit better, I'll see about maybe reaching out, bringing somebody else to the space that he may be able to, find or whatever. Everybody. It just all depends on people's schedule too, man. Like people be having some crazy schedules, so we'll definitely try to work some stuff in down the road or whatever, man. We're gonna continue to try to grow or whatever. Have him on when he can come on, and try to add some other people on as well too.
All right, sounds good. Good night to the family. I'll catch y'all next time.
All right, man. Good night.
All
Appreciate you
right.
stopping in.
Good night, right? Peace out, my boy.
DJ, you had your hand up. You want to go ahead and say something?
No, you guys taking the talking points or whatever. We all saying the same thing. Agree to disagree or whatever. But again, this is a lot of issues I have with a lot of my non-Black American friends where you try to tell them this type of stuff, and it's like they don't even care. You know what I mean? They know what it is. They just don't care, yo. And I'll leave it at this just to end it on this note. Since we having this conversation about race or whatever, and CRT or whatever you want to call it, American history, like I said, a lot of white folks they know what it is. They just don't care. So when you say like your mom and they hit you with them talking points, oh yeah, my family came over here after the Civil War. They came over here with nothing except the clothes on their back from World War I and all that other stuff. All right, well, okay, since then, we already know that. What have you learned in school about American history as a whole? So when you ask these white folks that, they ain't really got no answer. But a lot of times they be knowing, they just be trying to play dumb to see if we playing dumb. You see what I'm saying? Or see what we may know about our own history. So always ask your white friends, what did you do in school on Black History Month? You feel what I'm saying? Ask them that. You know what I mean? What reports did you write, and who did you specifically write about? And don't mention like Dr. King, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X. Like name somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like just keep it real on that. Like you.
No doubt, no doubt. I wanna touch upon this last story that we had. This is the 7 year 7 years later since they had the massacre at the church in Charleston when Dylan Roof came in and he killed all those black people. Plus, after the law enforcement took him to get him a nice meal at Burger King. But this is the name of this article is 7 years later. AME churches hold weekend of remembrance for Emmanuel 9. This article was published by the Tennessee Tribune, one of Newstoter sources. It was curated on the Newstoter.com platform. If you guys have not, make sure you visit Newstoter.com. Also, try out the Tennessee Tribune. It's a black-owned newspaper in the state of Tennessee. They put out pretty decent content. So go ahead if you guys get a chance. Also visit the Tennessee Tribune. And it says as faith groups across the state and the nation commemorate 7 years since the Charleston church shooting, Mother Emanuel AME, the site of the tragedy, kicked off a weekend of special events and a nationwide Bible study. Friday night served as a launch of nationwide year-long Bible study titled "What Kind of Soil Are We? What Kind of Soil is God Calling Us to Become?" The first study took place 7 p.m. and was televised live on C-SPAN and on the church's website. During the study, people gathered in the church to read the same passage that the 9 victims who lost their life did 7 years ago. People also came by the Bible study to pay respects, even placing flowers at the church's gate. The news conference was held earlier in the day by members of the community, families, bishops, members of Congress. Many talked about choosing faith and forgiveness. That we can, with God's help, create a possibility for our children and their children and for generations yet unborn. Episcopal Church President Bishop Michael Curry said, "We recommit ourselves, and I'm here to recommit myself and the church to work of not simply ending a scourge today, but landing a plane so there will be a tomorrow." Mother, Mother Emmanuel AME Senior Pastor Eric Manning spoke on still loving one another even in times of disagreement. It doesn't always mean we're always going to agree, but we can disagree in love and compassion, Manning said. Learn from each other with the spirit of empathy. Leaders with the church are planning to break ground this fall on a memorial to the victims. Also, a park honoring the oldest of nine parishioners of Mother Emmanuel AME Church killed in 2015, Susie Jackson, opened up on Friday. The shooting happened on the night of June 17, 2015, at the conclusion of a Wednesday night Bible study at the church. It claimed the lives of church pastor Reverend Pinckney and 8 of his parishioners. So this happened back in 2015, so it's actually been 7 years, and quite the tragedy it was. And we see the kind of mass shootings that's taken place since then, and this was just one that really ripped people's heart out. You had a nutcase like Dylan Roof came into the church, saw people up there praying, minding their own business, and this nutcase went in there and he just started killing black people. And you see the way that they always go after older black people, black women, the kids, people at church and stuff like that. He goes in there, he murders as many people as he can get his hands on, and then, like I said, as cowardly as he was, the people that arrested him was even more cowardly because they took this bastard to Burger King and let him get a meal. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that you could not even write in a Hollywood script. It's kind of stuff that you just couldn't even put out there. That you would have somebody, you would actually allow somebody who just mass murdered people at church, and you would sit there and take him to damn Burger King. I'm just thinking about that for a second, because I have a hard time believing that if Dylan Roof went into a synagogue and he murdered a bunch of Jewish people, they're gonna take him out to get him a nice meal. I have an absolute hard time believing that. Nobody can convince me that that would happen. Or if he went into a Catholic church and he murdered a bunch of Catholics in there, minding their own business in a prayer session, that they would have took him out there and got him something to eat from a fast food place. I mean, certain things are just beyond words. Certain things you can't even make up. They allowed this boy to eat a meal after he just murdered people in cold blood in the church. Of course, America has not had a problem ever murdering black people in church like they did in the 60s when they had that church bombing with those 4 girls that lost their lives. So they've never had a problem attacking black people in what's supposed to be a sacred space, what's supposed to be a holy spirit. No, they haven't had a problem doing that. And like I say, it's been 7 years, and that just lets you know how time flies, and that lets you know just how many shootings that we've had that I did not know it had been that long. I thought it had maybe been 4 or 5 years, but good Lord, we're pushing 10 years since this tragedy happened. And he picked out these elderly black people, he picked out these older black people, and he just commits and started shooting them down like they were clay pigeons, just dropping them left and right. And this punk is still alive. Should have been put should have been put to death. Shouldn't even been taken alive. But not only was he taken alive, he was fed. He was fed and he was taken care of. So these are the kind of issues that we have with the criminal justice system here in America. This is the way that they have just disrespected us from the time we've been here. And like I said, the fact that this guy here is still alive, these people here, and I understand what they're saying. I know they're Christian people, so they're talking about the forgiveness aspect that we know that a lot of black people would. And if you're a Christian or whatever, I don't have a problem if that's what you believe, that you should be forgiven or whatever. But I have an issue with the way the whole thing was handled and whatnot. So, your mama, go ahead and unmute your mic.
We're dealing with psychopaths, plain and simple. starting with Dylan Roof, and then going to them cops that arrested him. Straight up psychopaths. Ain't no 4 or 5 ways about it. They didn't see anything. There was no problem. Yeah, get the boy a burger. He's probably hungry after all the work he did. That's how they looked at that. Now he's sitting up on death row, whining about being afraid to be in prison during when COVID first came out. He was laying up there whining about wanting to get out because he was scared he was going to catch COVID. That's how sick minded they are. And right back with what I was talking about earlier, they're animals. We gotta quit looking at them like they're human beings. They're not. I'm landed.
Yeah, the COVID should have been the last thing that this boy was scared of catching his, cowardly as he was. And like I say, he's somebody that should have been shoved right into general population and see exactly how he could have made it without having his weapon in his hand to go and shoot on older people, shoot on church people or whatever. But you're right, like I mean, we like I said, we just and then like I said, I know it's a Christian aspect that you have to have forgiveness in your heart and whatnot. But could you really blame any of those people whose families at that church that they didn't forgive this dude? Because that's something that just has to stick with you for the rest of your life. This guy comes in there, and like I said, he just, and I forgot it was so long ago because I know he came in and he was actually talking to the people at first too. So, I mean, the way that he went in there, he went about this act of terror here. He goes in there, he sees the people. I mean, and just, the spirit, you would think the spirit would move him to say, man, I'm not gonna do this. Let me pull out at the last moment. But no, it went ahead and it just whatever black heart he had, he just went in there and he just cowardly just gunned these people down and just took their lives for nothing, just for pure hate. The same with that boy in Buffalo. Everything. I mean, and you got this. This is the kind of hate that you can see. These are young white boys, young, with this kind of hate like this. Don't sit up here and talk about that they learned this online or they learned it. No, they learned this from their pappy, their uncle, their older cousins and stuff like that. This is a damn code that has been passed along to them. This isn't something that they just went onto some right wing website and then just got indoctrinated. This was something that was going along in their family the whole time, man. So I don't even want to hear that. I see we have a new speaker. I believe your name is Yimby. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hi, Newstoter. I want to thank you. I'm glad I found you on here, and I've enjoyed following your page. I I don't. This and you're right. Dylan Roof. They invited him to pray with them. That's how it started. So they were inviting this kid to pray, and that is he can give him talk. But I have a question, and I know it might sound dumb, but every time I bring up people the whole Batu thing, they took them to get something to eat. People always say, well, cops will usually do that because they're trying to befriend the person so that they can get you. Uh, and so my question, I know that's a dumb thing to say, but I don't know how to respond to it in an intelligent way. What's your recommendation? And I'll land there.
I'm sorry, your question was about him getting something to eat. You said you kind of breaking up a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. My question, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can hear you, Yambi. It's just that you're talking low, but I heard everything you said. But I guess you got to repeat it for the chat in the recording.
Okay. Um, it was a long statement, but Newstoter, I really wanted to know what do you recommend saying to people who say, well, it's not that big of a deal that they took him to go get something to eat, because a lot of times cops will do that when they get a suspect in order to get the suspect to be more cooperative.
Well,
and I know that's a dumbass statement, but I'm just trying to figure out how to reply to it intelligently.
Well, I would say that would absolutely be a crazy statement if somebody said that, for the fact that the cops know that this man just went in there and committed mass murder. Like, this isn't like a simple crime of passion he did or something like that, or this wasn't a simple assault or something like that. He just went in there. He went into a sacred place that we claim that America is supposed to be this Christian nation. Yeah, he goes in there and he shoots elderly people down. He shoots people that invited him in there to have a prayer session with him. He murdered them. The cops already knew that he murdered the people, so there was really no need to. There was nothing to coerce out of him. Like they already knew he did it. They already knew that he was a murderer. So there was nothing on earth to do. Like he didn't deserve a meal. And trust me when I say, as a black man, if I went into a church that was Jewish or a Roman Catholic church a Methodist church, any church, and the congregation was white. And I went in there and I went and I shot 8, 9 white people down. They were elderly white people, and I killed them. And after I killed them, I told them, I said, hey, can you stop by Popeyes and get me a 3 piece? They would be beating me to death in there. They would be literally beating me to death. They would beat me to death if they could get their hands on me and I went in there. If they allowed me to even walk out of that church alive. But if I was to say something stupid like that, like, hey, you stop by Popeyes, let me get a 3 piece. They're like, I got you a 3 piece here. So anybody that sits up there and they try to excuse the cops' behavior in that instant, the cops like they clearly sided with this dude, and I'm not saying that they were totally okay with him doing that. But the fact of the matter is, the cops should have told him if the cops had any kind of heart, if he had any kind of integrity, if he believed in law and order and all this other stuff, he should have told him, like, son, your next meal that you're going to be getting is in the county. You're going to be eating whatever we feed you in the county. Like, you just forfeited that right to get you any last meal on us. We taking your ass here to this jail just as fast as we can get you there. So that's what I would tell you to tell anybody that tried to come up with some garbage like that, because, like I say, I'm pretty sure if the shoe was on the other foot, they would not even be saying something like that. Like that, to me, is a tremendous insult at being a black man. Like I said, that is a tremendous insult, and that is just a tremendous cop out. And like I said, this is not something. This is not first 48. This is not something that takes great investigative prowess to find out exactly who did what. Everybody in the world, when they pulled up there, they knew that he had just murdered these people. So there's nothing. He can sit up there and deny it. They know that he was a trigger man. They know that he killed everybody there. So there was nothing really to investigate because he was caught dead to right. Does that kind of answer you be exactly what you think? Or
That was perfect. That was perfect. Thank you. And you can move me back into listener mode. Thank you.
no problem. I appreciate you coming through. Your mom, I know you had your hand back up.
You said everything I was gonna say, brother. You said it all.
Yeah, like I said, I wish I would let anybody in this space, any black person, and it ain't got to be a black man. Let any black woman in this space have done what he did and went to a white church and did that act, that cowardly act that he did, and see what would happen to them as soon as they stop. Like, could you stop and get us something to eat? It's going to be kind of hard to eat when you don't have any teeth in your mouth. DJ, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. And the only reason why they took him to get something to eat at Burger King is because, like the slogan of Burger King says, you can have it your way when it's white is right. It's just really that simple. Because, like you said, Todd, if it was one of us that did that to 8, 9, 10 white folks or any other race for that matter, man, they would have laid us down right there along with them other dead bodies. Keep it real, we ain't going to no jail, dog. Even if they would have locked us up on scene in front of the news crew, they would have pulled over the side of the road, made up some side story after they fucking shot the so-called suspect, 100 times. You know what I mean? Come on now.
Oh yeah, you ain't coming out that church alive, bro. You ain't coming. The first thing you gonna say, oh well, he still had his gun on him and he pointed at us, and we had to. You ain't coming out that church alive, and if you do come out there alive, you best believe you're gonna be getting tortured, my friend. Like I say, now how do you think the people in this city have to feel about the law enforcement? I mean, these people, you have to consider these people dangerous here. You can't put any trust in them. You can't believe that they're going to uphold any laws. They already showed you that. That they could go ahead and they can go easy and put on kitty gloves with somebody who just gunned down innocent people in the church. Like there's certain things in this country that's supposed to be sacred. Like churches are supposed to be sacred, whether you believe in certain religious doctrines or not. people really look down on you when you go and you bomb a church and you do something to a church and this and that. But you know, it seems like with black people that you can do that more to black people in the church, and it can kind of be excused, and it can kind of people can kind of come up with all kind of rationales and reasons why this happened and this and that. But nah, man. Like I said, this dude here, to me, he is a gutless coward that should not even be alive. He should have been taken out from the moment they got a chance to get him. Same with that boy in Buffalo, still walking around, breathing air. So no, hell no. I don't. Like I said, I don't even go for that. But Hart, I see you got your hand up. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Or evening. Sorry, it's 10:51. Um, my mind is just all over the place. I know Juneteenth was yesterday, and some people celebrate it. I consider that like a memorialization of our ancestors. But I'm just in the headspace right now where like it was hard for me to even enjoy yesterday, knowing how um, bad of a state that we're in Black America in terms of the oppression we're still under, um, just all the things that's happening to us. So y'all are having this conversation about the Charleston shooting that happened some years ago, and that just it triggered me. I mean, I'm glad y'all were having a conversation, but it's almost like, are we as a community tired enough of the things that continue to happen to us that are not our fault? So I know there's been a conversation on Twitter about like why don't we have a anti-black hate crime bill? And I'm still asking that question, like why don't we? We've been unprotected in this country since we arrived here, and I don't know. It's just I keep thinking of that. I think it was that James Baldwin quote, like to be a Negro in this country is to be enraged almost all the time. And like I try to ground myself, but it's really hard to find some sense of sanity, some sense of peace, knowing that our community continues to suffer, and everyone. It seems like everyone around us who has not experienced these things, um, gets to be protected, and we still suffer. So I just wanted to add that. Thank y'all for this space.
Yeah, we definitely feel your pain, sister. That's something that in these spaces we do discuss. We try to talk about the current events, and we also try to talk about the current landscape of Black people in this country and whatnot. And we have addressed issues like that. Yesterday in our space, we talked about Juneteenth, and we talked about the reparation thing that they had going on in New Jersey, and we talked about a number of issues and stuff like that. So yeah, this space here in this space here tonight, we there were several things that I guess kind of in a way did something to you because we, as you can see at the top of it, it says "Grandma killed by cops." We had a innocent Black lady, 84 years old. Police officers basically in a high speed, reckless pursuit went ahead and took this woman's life. So we talked about that. I definitely wanted to address this tonight about that church killing that happened 7 years ago. So we talked about bigots pretty much chasing this black female educator out of Georgia, out of a couple of towns and stuff because of the critical race theory that they felt she was going to bring into it. So the main thing with the space is that we want to try to talk about topics and subjects. Like I know I myself, because having a black owned media outlet, there's so many things that come up, in the newsroom that the stories that you can't cover everything. So I want to cover some things. I want to try to keep it fresh. I don't want to talk about the same thing every single solitary night. I want to address different issues. And here we've talked about the racial wealth gap. We've talked about immigration. We've talked about reparation. We've talked about political issues with the Democratic Party. We you know what I'm saying? We just have to keep bringing these issues up until we ourselves can address them and try to correct some of the things right here. And you're right, like we don't have a we don't have an anti-black crime bill. Asians have it and whatnot. I know a lot of people say we don't need it as long as we make the laws that's already in place work for us, and that's true too. But at this point, they're not working for us. So I'm kind of at a loss of words for that. And I know with the Juneteenth thing, and I know with so many different things we had. Also, I had an article on my website, and I posted that tonight. I think I posted earlier today. I tweeted it. A black Republican, I curate news from his site. Very controversial figure named Kevin Jackson. He has this site called blackspirit.net, and he's been banned off a lot of these social media sites. I don't believe he has a Twitter account anymore, and Facebook or whatever. But he put out a tweet. He put out an article today, and I tweeted it. And I titled like Black Republican says, and the Black Republican says that Juneteenth is a new holiday for black folks to kill black folks. So like, the kind of stuff, like I say, man, that we see daily, and the kind of stuff that we hear in the news cycle and whatnot, to me, I'm looking for an audience to go ahead and discuss this stuff, to talk about it, to maybe see if we can find some solutions to some of these issues that are affecting us, both from the mainstream America and from within our own community as well, because we have issues within our own community as well too. So just having these spaces sometimes can be therapeutic, and sometimes it's a way of venting, and sometimes it's just a way of sharing information and whatnot. So don't let it get you down, because we're definitely behind enemy lines, and we're in unfriendly confines. So we just have to keep grinding. We have to keep pushing on and whatnot. One thing about the reparation movement, I see that it is doing a lot of positive things for Black people, because it's allowing us to think about how we can go ahead and forge a better future for future generations and stuff like that, and how we can put behind some of this pain and stuff that we've experienced. So never, never feel ashamed of what we've gone through in this country. Like it's a process. It's not going to change overnight. We have to just keep trying and whatnot. So definitely glad to have you in the space. Definitely glad that you put that comment. Like I say, and I know how you was feeling with the Juneteenth and the current state of this and that, and how we're behind. And it's not a good thing. You hear about the racial wealth gap, and you hear how it's widening and widening and widening, widening, widening. You hear about student loans and this and that, and you hear about the unemployment rate with us, and you hear about our health as compared to other people's health. It's just something that we just have to keep pushing forward on. We just have to keep trying to bump our heads together and come up with a solution, and come up with valuable options to help our community. Your mama, go ahead and unmute your mic.
I just had a quick word for Heart. Young sister, I hear everything that you're saying. And I just want to let you know, as a therapist, I've been a therapist for over 30 years. And one thing that we have to do as a people is to learn to guard our spirits. We're involved with a demonic system that gets an erotic thrill out of our pain and our trauma. That's why they are constantly exposing us to this. That's why every time you pick up a paper, every time you turn on social media, every time you look at a TV show, a movie, whatever it is, somebody Black is going through some kind of trauma. Well, that's all part of the design of this system, and it's designed to break us spiritually. But it's up to us to limit our exposure to it. You just have to do that. And I know that may sound, I don't know, it may sound silly. It may sound like, just an old woman talking. But from experience, I can tell you that a lot of this stuff is repeated, and it's deliberately repeated because it's designed to destroy us as a people. But once again, each one of us are responsible for guarding our own spirits. And part of doing that is by limiting your exposure to all the hell that we're going through. But also a part of it is getting into spaces like this where it's safe, where there's like-minded people, and where you can just let out that frustration and that anger and that fear and whatever it is, the pain. Like I say, being a therapist, I hear so much pain and so much anguish coming from our people that I have to pull myself back from time to time and not get in spaces, not even just look at Facebook or Twitter or any of that stuff, TV, any of that. And just if I don't do anything more than just put on a comedy video or something like that, just to take my psychic to another place. Sometimes you just have to do that. Open up a good book, go, sit out under a tree, take a walk, but you have to just kind of pull yourself away from this hell because it's designed to destroy us. But it won't. Don't get me wrong. We're too strong. We're too strong, and they know it. They know it. But we have to protect ourselves, and that's all I'm gonna say right now, young lady. You just be blessed. Be blessed.
Absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. DJ, you got something you want to say? We're going to go ahead and probably close the space out here in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and let you say something. But before I do, you guys make sure you all following us on Twitter. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to our Facebook group. All of this is in the actual Jumbotron. The newsletter is also in the Jumbotron too. So you can click that and go to the website and subscribe to the newsletter. We need your support definitely in the newsletter. We're trying to grow it out. Also, you can support us on Cash App at $Newstoter. That is $Newstoter. Make sure you guys visit newstoter.com. We're updating it with fresh content every day. Tons of black content. So, I mean, even if you don't like the news and the politics and the education, there's an entertainment section that we curate from different sites as well too. So make sure you guys go ahead and support this black-owned media outlet. This black-owned media outlet supports other black-owned media outlets and bloggers and everything else. So support us on Cash App if you can. If you got $1 that you can contribute, that's Newstoter. If you don't have a Cash App, we have a PayPal in the actual Jumbotron as well. We have actual Venmo in the Jumbotron as well too. But our Cash App is $Newstoter. DJ, go ahead and say what you want to say.
Pick up the black business real quick too, because we're looking for black business content creators.
Oh yeah, anybody that has a black-owned business, we're trying to set a Twitter space up around having a Twitter space about black-owned business. If you have a website, you have a service, you have a brick and mortar, go ahead. You can DM me Newstoter and just let me know what your business is. We'll go ahead and we'll add it to the list. So if you have any kind of black-owned business, any service that you have, go ahead and DM me Newstoter, and we will go ahead and we will add you to the list. And we're trying to go ahead. I think we might have about 10, 11 businesses right now. We're trying to get about 25 or so to do a black-owned business space. So go ahead. When you guys go ahead and get a chance, go ahead and DM me if you have a black-owned business so we can go ahead and set up that space around it. Go ahead, DJ.
Yeah, so I guess just to close out, Sister Love America, I didn't want to celebrate or, not even so much celebrate, but not even so much acknowledge Juneteenth either because all the damn Pan African grifting is going on here in the Northeast Coast where I'm from. Everybody think this shit is some African shit. Like, get the hell up out of here, yo. So I understand that 100%, and I'm actually about to host a space myself. If y'all want to come over and join me, I'm going to be talking about Peter Rosenberg. He's over here saying that he started the whole podcast industry with hip hop. No, you didn't, because we had radio DJs before that. So you didn't even start anything. You're just a white grifter. You're guessing his culture, my friend. So with that being said, I'll be talking about that. And just to close out, got like your mama said, you got to protect your mental health. That's for sure, especially when you're dealing with this type of rhetoric we're on, because you're gonna have to do a whole lot of fighting. But the problem is the fighting is no longer physical. We ain't having civil wars like that. It's all mental. You see what I'm saying? So you got to sharpen your steel in your mind. So my advice to you, what I tell everybody, you see the rhetoric that's on the wall, everything, and everybody's talking about reparations, black agenda, black Americans, secure the tribe, all this other stuff, black state of America, my man down there, Greg, was good. So at the end of the day, man, excuse me, at the end of the day, mama, here's what you got to understand. Study, practice, implement, repeat. Study, practice, implement, repeat. Study the work, practice the work, meaning come up here in these spaces, like your mama said, a safe space. Don't be all up with the bad and bougie jokers and the Ray Rays and the bougie mamas up in these weird ass Twitter spaces that you see the headline. Oh yeah, who doing what tonight or whatever? Like, nah, they ain't got nothing to do with no reparations. I'm trying to get my bread because nigga owe me. You know what I'm saying? Crack a nigga owe me at the federal government. You know what I mean? We trying to get our money over here. So with that being said, study, practice, implement, repeat. You know what I mean? Implement the work. So with the implementation, once you get an understanding of the data, the racial wealth gap, Jim Crow, Jim Crow law, segregation, slavery, all this other stuff, things that happened to us the longest in human history that we know of, 250 years of slavery. Like, come on, man. And that wasn't just yesterday either. Because the last slave really got free in like 1970 something. When you really do see, when you look that up, it wasn't even so much. The last folks being told in 1865 that they were free. Slavery was still going on well 100 years later. See that? So study the work, practice the work, implement the work, and repeat it, yo. And I was telling somebody else that. Love y'all. Good night. Reparations. So come over to this space. I'm about to have. We about to bomb on these steps.
Yeah, y'all check out my boy DJ Space. Go ahead and follow the host and the co-host. If you guys have not already, check his space out. I will come through, but it's late and I got to get up early. So go ahead and hold it down and let me know how that space go, man. So I want to hear more about it tomorrow and whatnot. If you guys go ahead, if you're not following Newstoter, make sure you follow Newstoter. Make sure you follow us on, like I say, on YouTube and our Facebook group, Black Culture Newsroom. The link is in the jumbotron. Support us on Cash App if you can, and also support us just by visiting newsholder.com daily. Subscribe to the newsletter as well. Subscribe to the newsletter as well. We appreciate all you guys stopping by and showing support for the new black media, for the largest black curation news platform in America today, newstoter.com. We will see you guys tomorrow. We may be holding the space a little bit earlier. Instead of the 8:30 space, we may be holding it around maybe about 7 or so. So we'll keep you guys updated. We don't know what topics going to be discussed tomorrow, but we'll find something in the newsroom. Once again, thank you guys for having you guys. And y'all have a great night, and we will see you tomorrow.